welcome you to Hofstra University for today's AFP Showdown featuring the Oklahoma City Spark and the New York Rise on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Alongside Maria Trival-Peace, I'm John Perez. Maria, it was a fun night the other night for the Rise, a 12-7 victory over Oklahoma City. It was a game where New York came in a slump offensively. Well, slump busting, getting out of it. Highest run total in a couple of weeks.
One way you get out of a slump is with 12 runs on the board. That was absolutely incredible job by the New York Rise, and they'll look to continue that today.
Yeah, New York will do that, and they've got one of the better hitters in the league as well. Ashley Treeweiler, what a day, a couple of home runs and 5 RBIs. And how about a key free agent signing in Caroline Wong?
Caroline Wong came into this team. She's already 2 for 7 in this series. She's doing a great job behind the plate. And then Ashley Treeweiler, as you said, just has been hitting the cover off the ball. I asked her before the game, I was like, does it look like a beach ball? And she chuckled and said, yes.
Yeah, I'd imagine so, and she's just been hitting everything that's been thrown on her side. Meanwhile, on the other side for Oklahoma City, they had their 9-game winning streak snapped. We spoke to Amber Flores, their head coach, before the game, and she said it was just one of those days, and that's going to happen at this level as well, but OKC will be led by Kinsey Hansen and Yvonne Whaley today.
Kinsey Hansen, 2 for 3 the other day. She had a triple. She just picked up right where she left off, doing a great job at the plate. And then you have Yvonne Whaley. She has just been so solid and consistent. She had 2 hits the other night, and she is just becoming a complete pro, according to her coach, Amber Flores.
It's the Rise, it's the Spark. It's all coming up next on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
It's time to book a Varsity Media Sportscast and get on the big stage. A Varsity Media Sportscast is seen by thousands of people, both live and on demand, from friends and family all over the world to prospective college coaches. Our announcers will help tell the story of your team and your athletes. There is no bigger stage to be on than Varsity Media. Book a sportscast today by contacting Varsity Media.
Hey parents, how about a bobblehead for your athlete? Bobbleheads are one of the most preferred personalized gift items today, and it's so easy to order. All you need is a photo of your athlete, a model number from our extensive collection of bobbleheads, and the sculpting process begins. 2 proofs are sent for your approval, and once it's approved, in a few weeks, your bobblehead is on the way. It's that simple. Order your bobblehead today by logging into varsitymediapass.com and click catalogs or call 516-403-2050. Welcome you back to Bill Edwards Stadium. It's the Spark, it's the Rise, it's Game 3. And while we wait for the starting lineups, we had an opportunity to speak to both head coaches before the game. Amber Flores, an interesting nugget, saying that the first inning has been their Achilles heel this year and looking to get off to a better start.
Yeah, she said sometimes it's just a little bit of a lull in that first inning. They make some mistakes defensively, so she wants them to clean that up. And, she also talked to us about the fact that sometimes they rely a little bit too much on that long ball. So she said today, look, we just want to get some base runners on, move them around, and play our game.
Yeah, in fact, the other night, New York was up 9-1. They were cruising, and then the fourth inning came in where Oklahoma City scored 5 runs in that inning, including a solo home run by Sydney Sherrill, and then Haley Lee had a 3-run home run. Lee not in the lineup today. Here are the starting lineups. We'll send it down to our public address announcer for today's starting lineups.
Playing first base, number 40, Alina Torres. Playing second base, number 26, and hitting fifth, Yvonne Whaley. Playing right field, number 14, Chloe Malaval. At third base and batting seventh, number 24, Sydney Sherrill. Batting eighth, number 15, shortstop, Rachel Becker. Batting ninth, the designated player, number 7, Riley Bailiff. And pitching today for the OKC Sparks, number 99, Maddie Penta. The head coaches for the Sparks is Amber Flores, assisted by Alex Flores and Jaden Wallace. And now, let's meet your New York Ride. The reserve for today's game, number 6, Kayla Weddle. Number 19, Ryan Henry. Number 99, Stephen McCrae. Number 24, Lauren Crane. Number 12, Jalen Ford. Number 29, Denise Snell. Number 20, Sarah Cornell. And number 42, Courtney White. And now your starting lineup for your New York Ride. Batting first and playing left field, number 50, Ashley Greenweiler. Playing shortstop, number 3, Jenna Ware. Number 25, playing center field and batting third, Alex Arnold. At third base, McKenna Smith, number 21. Playing second base and batting fifth is number 7, Stanley Williams. Catching today, number 66 and the newest addition to the New York Ride, Caroline Long. Number 11, your designated player, Nicole Mendo. Playing first base and batting eighth, number 22, Winnie Malkin. At right field, number 26, Riley Blampy. And pitching today, Mariah Lopez. Introducing Ride head coach, Crash McCrae. Coach McCrae is assisted by Tony Marie Valiano and Lisa Hyacinth, Coach L.I. And today's umpires for today's game, at first base, Alex Leach. At third base, Jake Galvano. And behind the plate is John Kingley. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise if you are able. Please remain standing and remove your hats to honor America and those who protect our freedoms with the singing of the national anthem, today performed by one of the greatest renditions of the national anthem of all time, Ms. Whitney Houston. For today's honorary first pitch, we have a very special guest. He is a highly regarded softball coach from Paterson, New Jersey. With over 2 decades of experience in coaching at various levels, he has built a reputation for her deep knowledge of the game, her strategic thinking, and her ability to inspire and develop young athletes. A former collegiate softball player, she's combined her personal playing experience with a strong commitment to mentorship and leadership, helping her team achieve both athletic excellence and personal growth both on the field and off. Her dedication to the sport and her community has made her a beloved figure in Paterson's athletic circles. She also heads up the Nike RBI program, which has served approximately 2 million young people since its inception. Nike RBI currently serves youth in over 200 programs in approximately 200 cities worldwide. Rise fans, please, let's give a huge round of applause to Ms. Leslie Dickerson. Leslie, it's your turn. Let's hear it again for Leslie Dickerson. Okay, fans, it's time to rise up. Let's play ball.
Leslie Dickerson throwing out the first pitch for the Rise out of Paterson, New Jersey, and we are ready to go here. Let's meet the starting lineup for the Oklahoma City Spark, led by Amber Flores, shuffling around the lineup from last game. Riley Boone leads it off. She's in left field with the Florida Gator. Michelle Moultrie in center field. Kinsey Hansen's behind the plate batting third. Alina Torres is the first baseman. She bats fourth. Batting fifth is Yvonne Whaley. She's at second base with Chloe Malaulu out in right field. Sydney Sherrill's at third base. Meanwhile, Rachel Becker is at shortstop, and Riley Bayless is the DP in the 9-hole. And we mentioned earlier before we switched over was the struggles in the first inning, and Amber Flores looking for a better start to this game.
It's all about how you set the tone, right? So if you have one of those first innings where you do struggle a little bit, it just makes the rest of the game feel like you're playing from behind. So if the Spark can kind of eliminate some of that and do what they do, I mean, you saw it in that first game, just getting on the board first. They can do a little bit of that. They should put themselves in a good position.
Yeah, and they'll have their work cut out for them against New York's starting pitcher. That's Mariah Lopez, who's getting the start today. Lopez 3-1 on the year at 2.30 ERA, and is coming off 2 outings against Oklahoma City when they played earlier in the month. Got the start in Game 1, only went 2 innings, allowed 2 runs on 3 hits, walked 4. That was her undoing, and then threw a scoreless inning in Game 3. I feel like walks has been the undoing of both pitching staffs so far, and that's really been on full display. How about this? Combined, both teams, 25 walks to just 13 strikeouts.
That's a big thing that you talk about when you're a coach to your players, is that walk to strikeout ratio. I remember back in college, we used to have to run if our strikeouts were more than our walks. So on the pitching side, you want that number to be about 1-to-1. It's almost double the walk to strikeout right now. So that's something that both teams really need to clean up today.
Yeah, New York 15 walks in the 2 games. 7 strikeouts in Oklahoma City's pitching, 10 walks on 6 strikeouts. A lot of that had to do with Kalani Ricketts. She was solid in Game 1, so only had the 1 walk and 4 strikeouts. But now it's a new day, and the rubber set as well, as Riley Boone will be set to lead it off for the Oklahoma City Spark. Boone hitless in 3 at-bats Monday night, did not play Tuesday night. And misses the first pitch, and we're underway. First pitch coming at 12:06. This game, of course, obviously was supposed to be last night, but with the weather, postponed to this afternoon. Still a good crowd on hand, and definitely a lot muggier than the last 2 nights. This is hit up the middle and through for a base hit. Past the outstretched glove of Jenna Laird, and a leadoff single for Riley Boone.
Jenna Laird shifted a little bit more in because Riley Boone is a slapper, so that ball just pokes its way up the middle, and that's one thing that makes Riley Boone so good, is to hit it where the other players aren't, and so that's why she's got herself on base with a leadoff single.
And that'll bring up Michelle Moultrie, who was in the bottom third of the order on Tuesday night and now moves up to the 2-hole. And Moultrie, as fun as advertised in person, and starting to come around. As the first pitch misses outside, 1-0.
You know, we talked to Amber Flores before the game about Michelle Moultrie, and she just spoke so highly of her and her dedication to the sport of softball. She said she's been doing this for a long time. She has a lot of experience both on Team USA and professionally, and even if she is struggling, she's going to find a way out of it, which she did. She did really well the other night, getting on base a couple times, hitting the ball hard and on the ground, which is such a key to her game.
Yeah, she's 3 for 9 in the series with a run scored and a walk. 1-1 pitch, bunted, and poked foul. 1-2.
And, you know, I like this 1-2 punch of Riley Boone and Michelle Moultrie because you have two very fast lefties at the top of the lineup. So you see Michelle Moultrie trying to sacrifice bunt there to move Riley Boone over. The other advantage that you have is that Moultrie's a left-handed batter, so it makes it a little bit more difficult for catchers to throw Boone out if she does want to steal second.
Lefty-lefty matchup as Boone rears back and fires. And that pitch just misses inside. Home plate umpire is John Cambridge. Adam leaps over at first, and Charlie Garzano is at second base right now. Two. No one popped up. Shallow left center, and an easy play for Alex Honnold. One away. Defensively for New York, let's meet the rise left to right in the outfield. You just saw Alex Honnold, Ashley Truweiler in left, and Riley Blampede in right field. Lenny Malkins at first, Sammy Williams at second. Jenna Laird gets the start at short. McKenna Smith in the hot corner, Caroline Wong behind the plate, and Lopez in the circle. And Kinsey Hansen steps up to the plate for OKC. And takes high and tight. Well, this is what the addition of earlier Mary Iacopo and now Caroline Wong, where you've got McKenna Smith, who is a good catcher as well, but she could go over to third base, and you could really put more bats on this infield. And we saw on Tuesday night, at least the start, Laird was at second base, Williams was at short, now they flip-flop. But a lot of versatility in this infield. Yeah,
you put Caroline Wong behind the plate, as you said, and she just also brings an extra added pop to the batting order. She had a hit in her first game with the Rise. She does a really good job defensively. And, you know, that's the one thing that coaches are always going to tell you. If you can hit, they're going to find a spot for you on the field. Now, it helps when you have somebody who's good defensively, both catcher and at third base, to kind of move some of that defense around as well, because you're not sacrificing the defense then.
There's a New York team that's pretty strong up the middle defensively and offensively. And the count 2-1 to Hansen, the backstop. Count even at 2-2.
Yeah, you mentioned up the middle for New York. You have Williams and Laird, and I just love watching them play. They're just both so smooth. Laird back over at short today. That's more of her primary position. When we talked to Crash McRae pregame, he said that's why he's moved her back over there.
This one driven in the air, deep left field. Truweiler turns around, and that ball's pulverized. The 2-run home run for Kinsey Hansen, her second home run of the year, and the Sparks strike first, 2-0 in inning number 1.
Amber Flores told us that she wanted her team to be better in the first inning, and Kinsey Hansen said, you know what, let me help you out with that. That pitch just a little bit on the inside part of the plate. She keeps her hands nice and tight on it. Just a beautiful swing. Ashley Truweiler doesn't even move. It's that far over the fence.
The wind blowing out to left, but that ball was gone regardless as Alina Torres steps up to the plate. A 2-0 Spark lead in the first.
And that's what Kinsey Hansen does. She just has so much power. I mean, so many people talk about how good she is defensively, right? Offensively, she is just as good. She has the ability to hit for power. She can hit to both sides of the field. She has more home runs in her Women's College World Series games than most people do in their careers.
Yeah.
So she knows how to hit the ball against some of the best pitchers in the world.
Been a tough series for Alina Torres so far. Hitless in 6 at-bats. Does have a couple of walks. One of those Oklahoma Sooners. She hails from Glendale, Arizona. And it skips off the glove of Wong, 2-1.
And I think it just helps grow the game, right? You have so many former Oklahoma Sooners on this Oklahoma City Spark team. The people of Oklahoma have watched them throughout their entire college careers, and so now you're trying to get people to come and watch this amazing product of pro softball. What better way to do it than with some of their favorite players from the college level?
This one poked out to right field, coming on Blampede, makes the catch. 2 away. And more on that point, too, and Crash McCray talked about this earlier in the game, is he studies the bios. He knows where these players are from, and so with that connection, whether a team is playing in a hometown or against former teammates, he'll stick them in the lineup. Case in point, Nicole Mendez, obviously one of the best Oklahoma Sooners in program history. She gets a start in 2 of the 3 games here today. Caroline Wong from Oklahoma State has played against some of these other players. So, these coaches realize that too.
And I think it's awesome because especially when you have some of these players who aren't playing close to their hometowns. Like some of these players on this Oklahoma City team are from the East Coast. Their parents and their families are coming out to these games. So to get them in the game and for people to see them play professionally in person is something that's just really cool. And I think it's awesome that the coaches are aware of that and trying to make this experience so great for everyone.
Count 1-1 as the pitch is down and into Yvonne Whaley. Well, Jenna Laird was going to start regardless of where she's from, but it helps that she's from Long Island. We saw on opening night, Sarah Cornell came in relief. She from Clark and Westbury. 1-1. 1-2 is that dotted on the outside corner.
I like that Mariah Lopez, even though she gave up the home run to Kinsey Hansen, she's still trying to stay on those corners. She knows that she missed a little bit on the inside part of the plate, but she's still spinning the ball, which makes her effective.
Rise pitch stays high, 2-2.
And that's going to be one of her best pitches is that rise ball. She does a really good job of keeping her body back and spinning it on all corners and quadrants of the zone.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, a 2-0 lead for the Spark. The pitch popped up left side. Easy play for Laird, and the inning is over. Kinsey Hansen's 2-run home run puts the Spark in front. After the top of the first inning, it's Oklahoma City 2. New York coming to bat on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
When it comes to live streaming, Varsity Media does it all. Athletic events, concerts, musicals, graduations, even weddings. Trust Varsity Media when it comes to your live stream event. Contact us today to learn more about Varsity Media's live streaming services at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is over 50,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck. Bottom of the first inning, a 2-0 lead for Oklahoma City at Bill Edwards Stadium here at Hofstra, and the New York Rise coming to bat. And Crash McCray, same starting lineup that we saw the other night, just moved around positionally, but either way, Ashley Trewiler, if there's a way that he could have her bat more in games, he would. She leads off with Jenna Laird at shortstop, Alex Honnold's in center field, McKenna Smith at third base, Sammy Williams is at second base with Caroline Wong behind the plate. In the 7th hole is Nicole Mendez. Lenny Malkin bats 8th, she's at first base, and Riley Blampede is in right field, rounding out the lineup as Oklahoma City will send to the mound Maddie Penta, the Game 3 starter from Auburn, 2024 NFCA third-team All-American. In fact, she's a 2-time NFCA All-American, and she brings a lot to the plate. A lot to the circle for the Spark.
Maddie Penta has such a fantastic rise ball, and the other part about it is she blends in this really good changeup that hits around 59 miles per hour that keeps hitters so off balance. So not only are you trying to handle that rise and the spin on it, you also have to realize that she can throw in that off-speed pitch, so it really keeps hitters off balance.
Well, I'll ask you this. How do you keep Ashley Trewiler off balance? You mentioned that she said it looks like a beach ball up there.
You got to get ahead on her. So I talked to Ashley Trewiler before the game, and she said one of her main goals when she's at the plate is to hit early in the count. So if pitchers want to combat that, they got to make sure that they're getting ahead on her, which is quite difficult with the way that she's been swinging it.
15-game hitting streak coming into the game. She's 5 for 8 in the series, 2 home runs, a double, and 5 RBIs. In fact, New York as a team has 5 extra base hits the entire series, and Trueweiler's got 3 of them. Driven down the right field line. Is it fair? No, just tucked foul. That was a screamer down the right field line as Trueweiler vying for her 3rd home run of the series.
And here's the thing. She's doing what she said she wanted to, is swinging early in the count. The problem is, even if you're trying to get ahead of her, she's been able to hit it both ways, right? She's been able to pull a couple home runs and go the other way with it.
Setup pitches outside. Count 2-1. Another interesting thing that she said was that because a lot of the games are at 7 p.m., you've got all day, she'll come and she'll track pitches with other pitchers, and there's always a teammate that's ready to hit and help her out, and she's been the beneficiary of that. Outside, 3-1.
And, it's so great when you're able to see some of that live pitching, right? She told me that she stood in and took some stand-ins against Jalen Ford. So just seeing the spin on the ball, just looking at different timings. And when you can see more pitches, you do a better job in the game because you've been there before.
Good hitters count, 3-1. Outside, ball 4.
And I love that Crash McRae puts her in that leadoff spot because, when you have somebody who's hitting as hot as Ashley Trueweiler is, people have the tendency to try to walk them, right? Even if that wasn't intentional, there's going to be situations where it will become intentional. So to put her in that leadoff spot, it eliminates some of that. And to protect her with somebody who hits like Jenna Laird, another really good move by Crash McRae.
Yeah, that pitch misses outside, and Laird hitting .306 on the season. Just 1 hit and 5 at-bats, but it's gotten on base, a walk and a couple runs scored against OKC so far, and an early conference as Hansen goes out to talk to Penta.
I think that's a good move. She's struggling a little bit with her control in these first 2 batters. It's nothing to panic about, but it's just, hey, let's talk about it a little bit. She's missing on that outer half of the plate to the left-handed hitters, maybe seeing what she can do to bring that in a little bit.
And the other thing that Amber Flores, the head coach for OKC, said was that it wasn't just a slow start offensively in the first inning, but it's defensively and pitching too, where they'll see them concede a couple of runs and you have to play catch-up. And that's something that OKC doesn't want to do. And with a 2-0 lead, I'm not saying that this is the end of the world, but you would love for Penta to keep the lead and throw up a scoreless frame in the first. Now the count 2-1.
And you saw that because they had that big inning in that 12-7 loss to the Rise. So if you get those runs earlier and keep the Rise off the board in those early innings, then that big 5 spot helps and you're able to keep that lead. But when you're playing from behind, it's not as helpful.
Yeah, and Penta now nibbling and missing, but 3 runs in the first inning, 4 runs in the second, and then 2 and 3 in the third and fourth, and New York just continued to pile on. 3-1. Now back to the screen. Good rip at a Rise. The count's full.
I like that Penta's trying to bring that pitch more on the inside part of the plate. The first strike call that she got on it was on the inside part. So the one where she's missing is on that outside corner.
Payoff pitch. That's downstairs, ball 4. So back-to-back walks to begin the afternoon for Penta. And that'll bring up Alex Honnold, and that will summon out the pitching coach for OKC, Jaden Wallace.
Yeah, it's that first inning defensive struggle is really coming into play once again. Nobody out, runners on first and second, and the result of 2 walks.
Sometimes you hear pitchers, and of course pitchers have their own preferences, but some pitchers will say on a muggy day like today, you get a better grip, so they've got a better command for the zone. There are other pitchers that just hate pitching in the heat. Some relish pitching in the cold because you can jam the hitters. So for Penta, she's got her work cut out for her, especially with the meat of the order coming up for the Rise.
I'd have to assume, though, Maddie Penta coming out of Auburn isn't really fazed too much by this New York northern heat, right? You have a lot of that humidity down there and just playing a lot of games in the hot sun. So if I was starting anybody in Game 3 in the middle of the day, it'd be Maddie Penta.
And after the conference, she fires in a strike, 0-1.
And that's what you want to see. You take the time, have the conference, come back with that first pitch strike.
Honnold from Mizzou hitting .429 on the year, a home run and 5 RBIs. Hit on the ground. A third, Cheryl's up with it and fires across the diamond to retire Honnold. Productive out as Treeweiler and Laird move up a base. And there's one away for McKenna Smith.
The art of the sacrifice bunt is something that has definitely been lost in our game of softball, right? I feel like when you were watching some of the postseason softball, that was one thing that a lot of people were commenting on, is that a lot of players were struggling to get that sacrifice bunt down. So it is so great to see here in the pro level that Alex Honnold can get that bunt down and give her team a good spot to get those runs in.
Especially when you got McKenna Smith, who we talk about how great Treeweiler has been. Well, McKenna Smith has been raking at the plate as well. 2 for 5 with a home run and 2 RBIs in this series against the Spark. Coming in hitting .366 and takes outside 2-0.
And you know the great thing about McKenna Smith and just all of these pro athletes is, the game the other day ended around 10:50. Afterwards, there were all these young girls just lined up waiting for autographs and photos. It was well after 11 o'clock, and McKenna Smith was still there signing and taking pictures with them.
Hit out to right. Molualu makes the catch. Treeweiler tags at third. The throw to the plate not in time. It's a sacrifice fly for McKenna Smith. New York gets the run back. It's 2-1.
How about that textbook softball? 2 walks, sacrifice bunt them over, and then a sacrifice fly to push a run across.
Jenna Laird tagged as well, so the tying run moves to third base, and that brings up Sammy Williams.
And when your team goes down 2-0 in the first inning, this is how you want to get the runs back, right? You don't want to try to get everything all back at once. If you can, great. But just one run at a time is how you slowly get yourself back into the game and then grab a lead.
Hefty cut by Sammy Williams. Count 0-1 from Iowa State. 3-time All-Big 12 first-teamer. And behind in the count 0-2.
When Penta gets ahead, she can use that rise ball that starts about chest high and rises over hitters' bats. You saw it there. That's why Sammy Williams fouls it straight back. She's just a little bit underneath it.
0-2. So popped up. Shallow center going out is Whaley and Becker makes the catch. And the inning is over. But New York gets a run back. 1 inning in the books. 2-1 OKC on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
It's Doc Ginn, and you're watching the New York Rise.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is over 50,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck.
It's time to book a Varsity Media Sportscast and get on the big stage. A Varsity Media Sportscast is seen by thousands of people, both live and on demand, from friends and family all over the world to prospective college coaches. Our announcers will help tell the story of your team and your athletes. There is no bigger stage to be on than Varsity Media. Book a sportscast today by contacting Varsity Media.
New York Rise fans, at this time we would like to acknowledge our good friends at Hofstra, New Balance, Azure Transportation, Vincent's Clam Bar of Long Island, Erica Cole Salon, Polsky Sports and Entertainment, Print Station, Catcher Matrix, and Lululemon. We appreciate all that you do to help support pro women's softball in New York. Rise up. She's Maria Tribal Peace. I'm John Perez. It is a 2-1 OKC lead going to the road half of the second inning. 6-7-8 due up for the Spark. Chloe Malauulu, the right fielder, will lead things off as Mariah Lopez looks to shake off that 2-run home run that she surrendered to Kinsey Hansen last inning. So OKC, not the ideal start after giving up the run, but either way they have the lead and getting ready to face Mariah Lopez again.
I think for OKC, they're looking to clean up that first inning, right? But I would still be okay with what they came out with, right? It's still 2-1. They worked themselves out of that jam, and now they can go back relying on those big bats that they have in the lineup.
Well, Malauulu has been fun to watch in person, especially defensively, and that's something that really doesn't stand out in the scorebook. who's done a good job patrolling the outfield. And ahead in the count, 1-0. Grew up in Long Beach, California, and has been a thorn in the side against New York this year. 5 for 10 with a home run and 3 RBIs. And a good changeup in there, 1-1.
It's funny because you mentioned how good she's been defensively, and then you also throw out her numbers at the plate. She has just been seeing the ball so well against the Rise, hitting for power, hitting when it counts. Just a great job by Malauulu.
Another SEC player from Mississippi State, where she played there between 2019 and 2023, named second-team All-SEC in 2022. And how about this? She's got the power. 21 career home runs. That's 11th all-time in Mississippi State history. 1-2. Poked up the middle, and that's through for a base hit. Past the outstretched arm of Jenna Laird, and a leadoff single for Chloe Malauulu.
It looked like Mariah Lopez took a little bit off that pitch and tried to spin it, but when she did, it hung a little bit too much over the fat part of the plate. Malauulu waits on it, drives it right back up where it came from.
So 2 innings, 2 leadoff singles, and now Sydney Sherrill, the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, stepping up to the plate for OKC. And Lopez really dotting the corners through the first inning plus. Pitch high, 1-1.
She tries to set up that rise ball once she gets ahead, so she hits that outer part of the plate, spins it, and then comes up a little bit. Cheryl, though very disciplined at the plate, takes that pitch.
Cheryl hitting .256 on the year, 2 home runs and 9 RBIs. It's 3 hits in 2 games against the Rise. Behind in the count, 1-2.
Lopez doing a good job of working all the quadrants, gets a strike called on the outside part and then also on the inside part of the plate.
Lays off, 2-2. Well, that's the one thing about Oklahoma City is that they don't chase and they don't have undisciplined at-bats. And Amber Flores really lauding the veterans for helping the younger players recognize that at the professional level. On the inside corner, strike 3 called, got her looking. First K for Lopez, and there's 1 away.
You know, we talked about Maddie Penta keeping hitters off balance because she can switch speeds. Lopez also switches speeds, but the other thing that she does so effectively is hits her spots. So she threw 2 pitches on that outside part of the plate, 1 called for a strike, 1 called a ball. Same thing on that inside part. So it makes it much more difficult as a hitter deciding, oh my goodness, is she going to come in or out, which is why Cheryl gets frozen a little bit on that inside pitch.
Rachel Becker, the shortstop, behind 0-1. After taking a strike. Becker from Lindenhurst, Illinois. From Oklahoma State. Hitless in 5 at-bats in the series. Does have a couple of walks. Down and in, 1-1. Well, Becker, a hitting machine at Oklahoma State. A lot of positives as a cowgirl. 1-1. Back to the netting. And earlier this year, top 10 in hits with 81. That was 6th nationally. And how about this? She holds an Oklahoma State program record of hitting safely and reaching base safely 49 straight games from February 10th to April 29th. I'd say it's pretty good.
Is that a lot of games?
Yeah.
49?
Just missed. Lopez wanted the call. John Cambridge said it was a little high.
It looked a little high, but it was also a great spot. And here's the advantage for the Rise is that Caroline Wong behind the plate probably knows how to throw Rachel Becker a little bit. I'm sure there have been plenty of inter squads at Oklahoma State practices where she's called pitches against her former teammate.
2-2, fisted foul.
That was always one of the most frustrating things when coach would be like, all right, we're going to inter squad today. And it was like the middle of the season. So you've already had probably 30 inner squad, so your pitchers and catchers knew exactly what to throw you. You'd always get the pitch that you didn't like. You still couldn't hit it. And you're like, can we do something else, please?
Well, iron sharpening iron. On the outside corner, got her looking. Well, perhaps dealing back to the inner squad days as Wong calls that outside fastball, paints the black, and back-to-back strikeouts for Lopez.
Lopez again working both sides of the plate, just places this one perfectly on the outside corner. Becker has to head back to the dugout.
That brings up Riley Bayless. Bayless still looking for her first hit of the season.
You notice a lot of these Oklahoma City hitters taking that outside pitch because it is right on the corner. If I'm Mariah Lopez, I'm throwing it there and pushing that outside part until they prove to me that they can hit it.
Well, it comes up and in. Is that a strategy where you want them to maybe crowd towards the plate and you could get that inside corner again, or what's the thinking there?
I think it's personal preference. I always liked to crowd the plate because I didn't really like to hit that outside pitch, but some people have the opposite philosophy, right? So some people stay off the plate a little bit and say, okay, look, I'm showing that pitcher that they have all this room to come inside, make them throw it there. So for me, I'm crowding the plate. I'm going to try to hit that outside pitch, but a lot of people stay off and say, pitcher, throw it to me where I want it.
2-1, up the middle. On the backhand, Williams takes it to the bag herself, and the inning is over. So Lopez works around the leadoff single to get a pair of strikeouts and a ground out. 1.5 in the books, 2-1 OKC on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching Varsity Media, New York's high school sports network.
Hey parents, Varsity Media is now offering ISO video of just your athlete. Why settle for the wide angle that shows every player on the field? With our ISO video, your athlete is front and center the entire game. This footage will help in creating highlight videos for college coaches to better pinpoint your athlete's play on the field. Watching our video will help your athlete improve progressively throughout the season and may lead to a college scholarship. Varsity Media is now booking ISO videos for the fall, but spots are limited. Contact us today for football, soccer, field hockey, and volleyball by calling 516-403-2050 or emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
Welcome you back to Bill Edwards Stadium, Thursday afternoon in Nassau County. And Oklahoma City with a 2-1 lead over New York, as it'll be Caroline Wong, Nicole Mendez, and Linny Malkin to lead things off for New York. We didn't get a chance to see defensively the spark in the first inning, so let's see what Amber Flores rolls out there. Riley Boone with Michelle Moultrie and Chloe Malaulu. Rachel Becker at short with Yvonne Whaley up the middle in the corners, with Alina Torres at first base, Cindy Sherrill at third, Haley Lee not behind the plate, so that's wrong on the graphic. It's Kinsey Hansen behind the plate with Maddie Penta in the circle. So an earlier start time. And Maria, I'm curious what how that changes prep-wise. Now, obviously, they're at the pro level. Most of these games start at 7 p.m. You were a student athlete. Now, when you would have those trips, I'd imagine down south, you had earlier start times. But once you got into the season, what was the earliest start time for you guys? Like a 12 and 2 or a 2 and 4?
Yeah, usually when you're playing conference games, it's at 12 and 2:30. I mean, it usually moves that second game time. But, yeah, usually about at 12 and 2:30. When you're playing in those preseason tournaments, it's those early games where you're starting at 9 a.m. and you're at the field. I don't even know what time. You're not awake, so you don't remember what time it is. But, yeah, this is definitely like a very normal conference slated schedule, especially when you have that second day of games if you're playing a doubleheader. Now, a lot of conferences have moved to the single game a day, and usually it's that game 3 where you are playing in the middle of the day because you're probably catching a flight back to your school afterwards.
I'm always empathetic to the student athletes that have to get up at 7 a.m. for a 10 o'clock game or whatever it may be.
No, you're at the field by 7 or 7:30, so you're getting up way too early.
Here's Caroline Wong. How about an immediate impact for Wong? She's been fantastic for the Rise since her signing from Paris, Tennessee. 2 for 7 in the series with an RBI. Has provided instant offense for New York.
She hasn't really skipped a beat, right? She played in the Women's College World Series with Oklahoma State. Then she's right back here playing some more softball, doing a great job behind the plate for the Rise. And as you mentioned, really good with the bat as well.
Three-one, line foul, and that'll wake you up in the dugout. Everybody in New York hope it's okay and has to scatter out of the way.
I'm not even sure how that got through the netting. It had such a unique angle that it still found its way into the dugout.
The ball had eyes.
It really did. Wong a little bit late on that pitch from Penta while she's hitting it into that first base dugout.
So another full count. And the pitch. And we'll do it again.
A good cut there from Wong, just fighting it off, 3-2. Penta's going to have to bring it to her because she doesn't want to put any more base runners on. Wong, knowing that, taking a good cut, but lots of movement on those Penta pitches makes it hard to square up.
Payoff pitch. Waves right through it, strike 3.
Maddie Penta's rise ball is just so pretty. It has so much hop on it, and the fact that she has the confidence to throw that 3-2 just shows you how good it is. She knows that hitters are going to chase. You'll get to see it again right here. Look at the way that it breaks so late. Wong has no chance on it. I was doing some prep for these games, right? And there was one point in Maddie Penta's college career that she got a 45% chase rate on that rise ball. At that time, the rest of the country, 30% chase rate in comparison.
Yeah, which just goes to show that the book has been out on her for the entirety of the season and people still weren't hitting her.
Oh, absolutely. And it's because the rise ball is such a sneaky pitch. You can know that it's coming. You can literally tell the hitter, hey, I'm going to throw you a rise ball. If you're good enough at spinning it, nobody's going to hit it.
1-1 to Nicole Mendez, the DP. You talk about Mendez just being a great ambassador for the game and obviously some bragging rights in her own right against a number of her former teammates. And even for Sooners that she didn't play with, but they do a good job in Oklahoma of keeping the alumni involved as well throughout the years.
Oh, I think it's just so awesome. I was at the Women's College World Series this year, and you see all of the alumni just sitting right behind the Sooners dugout, right? And they're cheering them on so loud, and the support is so fantastic. And then even just after the games, the way that they interact, it really shows the sisterhood of that program.
Yvonne Whaley makes the catch, 2 up, 2 down, and that'll bring up Lenny Malkin.
Now batting for the Rise, number 22, Lenny Malkin.
You know, another result of that rise ball from Maddie Penta is you are going to see a lot of pop-ups. You have 2 already in this game, and it's only the second inning. People, even if they hit that rise ball, they're getting underneath it.
Lenny Malkin, it was just announced the other day, one of 3 New York Rise participants in the Champions Cup Home Run Derby next week. Her, Ashley Truweiler, and Ryan Henry will be competing. Should be pretty fun there and a lot of power between the 3 of them.
I'm excited to watch that, right? I mean, I think that the Major League Baseball Home Run Derby was the other night. That's very exciting. Now we're going to have some of the best home run hitters in the game of softball duking it out to see who can hit that ball the farthest and the most effectively.
I know the old commercial was chicks dig the long ball, but I think everybody digs the long ball.
I think everybody digs the long ball, the dingers, all of it. Wonder how many different names there are for home runs. That's homework for everybody listening. Send us how many different names you can call a home run. There's a home run, there's a dinger, there's a bomb. What else?
Long ball.
Long ball.
Shot.
You just said it. Shot. Yeah.
Cannon, nuke, a lot of artillery references in there. Malkin 1 hit and 6 at-bats in the series and hits it right side. Another opportunity for Moultrie. She handles 2 of the 3, and the inning is over. 2 innings complete, 2-1 Spark on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
It's time to book a Varsity Media Sportscast and get on the big stage. A Varsity Media Sportscast is seen by thousands of people, both live and on demand, from friends and family all over the world to prospective college coaches. Our announcers will help tell the story of your team and your athletes. There is no bigger stage to be on than Varsity Media. Book a sportscast today by contacting Varsity Media.
Hey parents, how about a bobblehead for your athlete? Bobbleheads are one of the most preferred personalized gift items today, and it's so easy to order. All you need is a photo of your athlete, a model number from our extensive collection of bobbleheads, and the sculpting process begins. 2 proofs are sent for your approval, and once it's approved, in a few weeks, your bobblehead is on the way. It's that simple. Order your bobblehead today by logging into varsitymediapass.com and click catalogs or call 516-403-2050. Top of the third inning, a 2-1 lead for the Oklahoma City Spark over the New York Rise. The rubber game and the makeup date from last night's postponement. It'll be top of the order, Riley Boone, Michelle Moultrie, and Kinsey Hansen against Maria Lopez, who first time through the order has allowed 2 runs on 3 hits, but has a couple of strikeouts as well. And she'll deal to Boone for the second time today, and Lopez really doing a good job of hitting all 4 quadrants in the first 2 innings of work.
And when we were talking about pitchers being more effective, that's what they need to do is hit those spots, right? Throw strikes, but hit up, out, in, and low, right? Lopez doing a great job of doing all of that.
Riley Boone, a leadoff single, and came around to score on the 2-run home run by Kinsey Hansen. And takes all the way for ball 1.
Riley Boone just so quick on those base paths. I mean, you can even see it in the way that she runs through the box on the slap, just so agile, athletic, and quick.
1-1. She's part of the 2023 Women's College World Series Championship team. She was a member of the All-Tournament team in both 23 and 22. Bunts it right back to the mound. Lopez, but Malkin wasn't covering, and it'll be an infield single. That's where Lenny Malkin, I think, was expecting the sacrifice and couldn't get back, and Williams was shaded up the middle.
It's tough on a left-handed slapper because the left side of the infield is going to be pulled in. You see Riley Boone just hits this right back to the pitcher, but watch how her hands dropped. It looked like she was going to bunt, right? So because of that, Malkin crashed. Williams saw that it was a slap, so she didn't cover first base, which is why there was nobody there to catch that throw.
Second hit of the day for Boone, and here's Michelle Moultrie. Flew out to center her first at-bat and pulls back the bunt, 1-0.
And if there's young slappers watching that, that's exactly how you want to do it. Dropping that bat into your hands so that you could bunt or slap, it looks exactly the same, and it's going to confuse the defense as it did right there. You're going to get a lot more base hits out of it.
It kind of catches you flat-footed. Well, that goes over to Williams. Tough hop. Tries to stay with it and has no play. And everybody's safe. It'll be ruled an E4 as Boone goes over to second and Moultrie's aboard.
Speed kills, right? Sammy Williams knows how fast Michelle Moultrie is, so she's thinking about that as this ball is chopped towards her. Takes one little hop. If she could have taken one more step in and cut off that bad hop, she might have had a chance at first, but because Michelle Moultrie is so fast, you're thinking and you're moving, and you can't really corral that ball. And so I talked earlier about how I like these 2, 1 and 2 in this Spark order. That's a big reason why.
Well, the 4th error committed by the New York defense in the series. And Kinsey Hansen, who had the big blow in the first, with a couple of runners on base. And a 2-1 lead, rode half of the third. Lopez gets the strike, 0-1.
You know, it's interesting because I'm a big proponent of small ball here, but with the way that Kinsey Hansen has been swinging the bat, I think I'm letting her take some hacks.
We've got the meat of the order with Hansen at the plate, then Torres and Whaley right behind her. 1-1. Big healthy cut, 1-2.
And if you're getting the green light here, you have a runner in scoring position, 2 runners on total. Those are the kinds of cuts that you want, right? If I'm giving you the green light in which normally would be a bunt situation, you better be taking those daddy hacks.
I guess that goes into the vernacular of swing, too.
Yep. We talked about how many different ways can you name a home run? How many different ways can you name a big swing?
1-2. Popped up, and that'll reach the bleachers. Nice catch on the ricochet by a young fan over there.
You like that. You charge it, keep that ball in front.
Sign her up. Or perhaps, with all the youth softball players that come to these games, they could potentially be in one of these uniforms in years future.
I think that's the part that is just so cool because they have the opportunity to see it in front of them, right? What's the cliche is that if you can see it, you can be it, but it is so true. Having these young girls here and visualizing what they can maybe one day do just gives them so much inspiration and motivation to go for it.
1-2 coming. And looped foul again. And Hansen stays alive.
And it's just awesome. We were talking about the young fan who kept that ball in front over there. They're wearing Courtney Weiss jerseys, right? So just the fact that that exists, that there's women getting to play professional sports and there's merchandise and there's people here and they're supporting it, I think it just speaks to the growth of the game of softball and the growth of women's sports, which is something that we need to keep contributing to.
Hansen serves it out to right. Blampede lines it up, makes the catch. Boone retreats back to second. Queen size out number 1.
That's a big out for the Rise, especially with the way that Kinsey Hansen has been swinging the bat. A really great job by Mariah Lopez. She got ahead in the count on Hansen and then was just able to spin that ball. That's why Hansen kept fouling it off into the stands because Lopez wasn't giving her anything over the heart of the plate. Lopez just keeping it, again, on the corners with spin. She gets a pop out against one of the best and hottest hitters for the Spark right now.
And it's Alina Torres. Flew out to deep right her first time up. And takes ball 1.
And I have to give credit to Caroline Wong, too, because she's back there just keeping all of those pitches in front of her. You see a really nice pick right there, just making sure that the runners don't advance. The Rise utilize a lot of pitchers every game, and she's been able to handle all of them.
2-0. Crash McCrae using 5 different pitchers over the first 2 games. Lopez pitching in game 1, 2-0. 2-1.
Again, even when she's behind 2-0, she's not letting up and throwing it over the heart of the plate. She still hits that corner, and I just think that shows her confidence in her control.
And clearly the game plan devised by her and Wong. 2-1. That's low, gets through the wicket to Wong, and everybody moves up a base. Boone to third, Moultrie up to second on the pass ball.
Look at Riley Boone over there at third, too, just taking some quick steps towards home. I think that's one of the reasons that Oklahoma City scores so many runs against opponents is because of their aggressiveness. We talked about it a lot on Tuesday, right? Not only at the plate, but on the base pass, just always looking for that next base.
And so the Rise bring the infield in. Here's a 3-1. Full count.
Oklahoma City has that angled down advantage here. Even on a ground ball, both runners can start moving on contact and then just find a way to get back to that second and third situation. We'll explain more if it happens.
3-2, hit out to right. That should be deep enough to get the run in. Blampede makes the catch. Boone tags up. The throw is cut off. It's a sacrifice fly for Alina Torres. And the Spark go up 3-1.
It's a really good job by Alina Torres. This pitch is on the upper outside part of the plate. You see Wong set up right there. she does exactly what she's supposed to do. She waits on it and hits it the other way, gets her hands high enough that it's not straight up into the air. It gets some distance on it, and that's an RBI for her and another run on the board for her team.
And Michelle Moultrie moved over to third, so here's Yvonne Whaley. And holds off, check swing, and no, says third base umpire Jake Alzerano. Whaley 0 for 1 on the day, popped out to short in her only at-bat. Count 1-1. One. Back to the screen, and Lopez a strike away from getting out of it.
A lot of foul balls because of that spin on Lopez's pitches.
Lopez taking her time, trying to get on the same page as Wong. Comes a 1-2, and fell back again. And you're right, you could even see the revolutions from up here in the spin rate for Lopez. Not easy to square up.
And besides the Hansen home run, she hasn't really given up any solid contact. The hits that have come have been singles. Some runners have gotten on base by error. Hansen scored it up, but besides that, lots of pop-ups and strikeouts.
Well, that's well struck to left field on a dive. Treeweiler can't make the play. It's down for a base hit, and Whaley moves into second with the RBI. As Moultrie comes in to score, 4-1 OKC.
You know, what impresses me about Yvonne Whaley is she never tries to do too much at the plate. She hits it exactly where the pitcher throws it. She doesn't try to pull anything outside. This one, again, on the outside part of the plate. She's trying to get her timing down with that square and then just goes with it. She's had a lot of singles fall in front of left fielders because she just is able to get her hands to that ball enough that it drops in. And, you know, I like the effort there, too, from Ashley Treeweiler. She gets a good first step on it, but that ball just dies a little bit too quickly for her to come up with it.
Chloe Malaulu goes around on a swing for strike one.
And the other thing I'll say about Yvonne Whaley is she always has those hits in big moments, right? She had an RBI the other day as well. She just is very locked in and clutch when her team needs her the most.
It's now 5 runs driven in the series. And the count 1-1 to Malaulu.
And I think that's such an underrated part of the game, right? Because we sometimes look at hitters and see how much power they have or what their numbers are. My bigger question is, when are they getting those hits, right? Are they in the blowout games against some of the lesser teams, or are they when the game is on the line? You know, we talked about Jada Coleman on Tuesday, and she's somebody who, in the biggest moments, she always comes up with that home run or that big hit. Yvonne Whaley's one of those players, too, just getting those runs in when her team needs it.
Time called at the plate as Wong trying to get on the same page as Lopez.
This is a good time to do it, right? Because Lopez has been hitting her spots, as we said, and Wong doing a good job of making sure that she's calling what Lopez wants to throw. And I think a big advantage here for Wong is that she's played a lot of these hitters multiple times, right? Especially coming from Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, they play once or twice throughout the year, I would say. So she knows a lot of these hitters, and so just kind of getting on the same page as Mariah Lopez and knowing what Lopez throws well and how they can complement each other to get these spark hitters out.
I think the other interesting nugget to that is also most of these players, at least for Oklahoma City, they've got a couple of years of pro experience. So even if, you know, whatever the book was on a player like Malaulu or anybody else, it might have changed significantly in the year or two since they've graduated, as Malaulu stays alive, and the count is 2-2.
I know it's super interesting because I know when we talked about Shanice Dels the other day, her adding pitches to her repertoire when she went from Tulsa and then just figuring out ways to have more pitches in her arsenal. So you think when you get to the pro level, a lot of that is happening as well.
And pitch misses, 3-2. RBI double by Yvonne Whaley made it 4-1. Second time in 3 innings that Oklahoma City's put 2 runs on the board. 3-2 pitch. That's lined foul down the right field line.
And that's what makes them so lethal at times, is that they just chip away, right? They'll have their big inning here or there, but it's just their consistency. Putting up 2 runs in the first. Okay, they don't score any in the second, 2 more at least in the third.
Another full count for Lopez. The pitch. And that's low. Ball 4 gets to the backstop, and that allows Whaley to go to third. Second walk issued by Lopez, and McCray comes out. We'll see if he looks over at the bullpen as well.
Looks like he gave a little nod that way, but I can't see if anybody's coming in at that point. It appears, though, because Lopez is heading off the field.
Yeah, it'll be Lauren Krings to come in on relief, and we'll take a break right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
This is Doc Ginn, and you're watching Varsity Media.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is over 50,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck.
It's time to book a Varsity Media Sportscast and get on the big stage. A Varsity Media Sportscast is seen by thousands of people, both live and on demand, from friends and family all over the world to prospective college coaches. Our announcers will help tell the story of your team and your athletes. There is no bigger stage to be on than Varsity Media. Book a sportscast today by contacting Varsity Media. When it comes to live streaming, Varsity Media does it all. Athletic events, concerts, musicals, graduations, even weddings. Trust Varsity Media when it comes to your live stream event. Contact us today to learn more about Varsity Media's live streaming services at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
Lauren Krings comes on in relief. She's 1-1 on the year with a 4.94 ERA. She's allowed 8 runs, all of them earned, 7 walks and 6 strikeouts. Last pitch against Oklahoma City on July 6th, when an inning and a third allowed 5 hits and 4 runs and a walk in the loss. Sydney Sherrill steps up with runners on the corners. Both runners are the responsibility of Mariah Lopez, as the first pitch is floated out to left. Ashley Treeweiler is there, and Krings comes on and induces the flyout, and the inning is over. But Oklahoma City scores 2 more runs, and it's a 4-1 lead going to the bottom of the third on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
When it comes to live streaming, Varsity Media does it all. Athletic events, concerts, musicals, graduations, even weddings. Trust Varsity Media when it comes to your live stream event. Contact us today to learn more about Varsity Media's live streaming services at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is over 50,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck. Welcome back to Bill Edwards Stadium, a 4-1 lead for Oklahoma City. Here in the bottom of the third inning. It'll be 9-1-2 due up for the Rise. Riley Blampede, Ashley Treeweiler, and Jenna Laird against Maddie Penta, who through the first time through the lineup has just allowed the run on the sacrifice fly, has a strikeout and 2 walks. But we saw much more vintage Penta in the second inning than the first.
Yep, getting ahead on hitters and spinning that Rise ball. A strikeout and 2 pop-ups. If she throws it right, those are the outcomes she'll get.
So Blampede, the right fielder, steps up to the dish from Cordell, Georgia, South Carolina Gamecock. 1 for 6 with 5 strikeouts in the series.
And as a hitter, when you are striking out, you're just trying to figure out, how can I make contact, right? What am I doing that's causing me to strike out? Am I letting the ball get too deep? Am I getting behind in counts too much? Make small adjustments. And she's a pro, right? She's a pro for a reason. She's going to figure that out and then come back with a new approach heading into this game.
Well, takes that daddy hack on the first pitch.
I like the reference.
Nothing in 1. Thank you. And that's outside, 1-1. So first of 4 straight games for the Rise. Of course, the series finale tonight, and then they'll take on the Chattanooga Steam tomorrow night, Saturday night at 7 p.m., and then a 1 o'clock start on Sunday. Pitch down and in. And the count 2-1. And one thing that's cool, and you're seeing the camaraderie in the league. So Oklahoma City is traveling back south tomorrow. And because of that, Chattanooga's flying in today, or has already flown in. The 3 teams are getting together and going on a boat tour out in Flushing, Queens after today's game. And that's kind of a cool thing that all 3 teams get together. Of course, we talk about how many of those teams actually have teammates and former teammates of each other, maybe even from travel ball or just been around the circuits. And it's just a great initiative for the league.
And you don't even realize just how small the softball world is. I think that's something that's really cool. I was talking to Jalen Ford today, and I told her, I was like, in my first ever college game that I played in, you pitched. And she was like, oh my goodness, it's just such a small world. And so the fact that we're trying to grow this sport and bring all these people together, I think doing that, bringing all 3 teams into one area and just having that time to talk to each other, laugh with each other, eat some good food, I think it's really special. And I think it's something that it's so special about the sport of softball in general.
Good battle by Blampede. The 5th time that Penta's gone to a full count. And it's popped up. Right side of the infield on the outfield grass is Whaley. 1 down.
Yvonne Whaley has made the last 3 catches. And again, they're pop-outs, right? So that's that Penta Rise ball working. She's getting hitters to get underneath it and just hit weak pop-outs to Yvonne Whaley over at second base.
That'll bring up Ashley Treeweiler, who hit a frozen rope down the right field line, but tucked it foul, so she settled for a walk, but came around to score in the first inning. And takes low and away, ball 1.
And you see, because of the way that Treeweiler has been hitting a lot of power to that right side, that Penta's been working her on that outside part of the plate. That eventually led to the walk in that first inning because Penta couldn't get that on the outside corner where she wanted it to. But she gets it there.
Penta's retired the last 7 in a row. Walked the first 2 batters of the ball game, and then sacrifice bunt and a sac fly being the responsibility of the only run for the Rise.
How about that adjustment there, though, from Treeweiler? She knows that Penta's throwing her on the outside part of the plate, so she said, all right, let me try to hit it. Again, that spin, though, from Penta's pitches forces Treeweiler to hit it right back. Right back to the fence. Treeweiler's timing is good, though.
Behind in the count, 1-2. And slaps it up the middle. Charged by Becker. Fires. And gets Treeweiler by a stride. 8 in a row set down by Penta. 2 outs in the third.
That's a great job by Rachel Becker because Treeweiler, as much power as she has the speed as well. So that ball is taking that chop. It's kind of like what we talked about earlier in this game, just getting up on those short hops and making that play. Great job by Rachel Becker.
So 2 up, 2 down, and Jenna Laird, the batter. Walked and was stranded at third in the first inning. Takes on the inner half, 0-1. Laird drives this one to deep center field. Back goes Moultrie. Gets over her head and is off the wall. And Laird steps into second with a 2-out, 2-bagger.
If you can get on top of a Maddie Penta rise ball, that's what will happen. Jenna Laird using her hands, getting them nice and high on this pitch. Crushes it right back over the head of Michelle Moultrie, in for a double.
First hit of the day for the Rise. For Laird, that's her 5th double of the year. And Alex Honnold, the batter. And Penta with a first pitch strike to Honnold, who sack bunts in her last at-bat. Count even at 1-1.
You know, one thing that we talked to both the Rise players and Crash McRae about before the game was the chemistry of this team and the camaraderie between these women. And the fact that Honnold hitting in the 3 spot lays down a sacrifice bunt, I think speaks a lot to that. They're just such a team and willing to do whatever they can for each other.
Driven out to left center. Moultrie gets in the gap, tracks it down. Inning over. So they strand Laird at second and through 3. 4-1 OKC on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
It's Doc Ginn, and you're watching the New York Rise.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is over 50,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck.
It's time to book a Varsity Media Sportscast and get on the big stage. A Varsity Media Sportscast is seen by thousands of people, both live and on demand, from friends and family all over the world to prospective college coaches. Our announcers will help tell the story of your team and your athletes. There is no bigger stage to be on than Varsity Media. Book a sportscast today by contacting Varsity Media.
Top of the 4th inning, 4-1 Oklahoma City here at Bill Edwards Stadium. As Lauren Krings came on last inning in relief, got the final out. As Oklahoma City scoring 2 runs in the first and a couple in the third. And they will have 8-9-1 due up in the order. She's Maria Trivalpiece, I'm John Perez, and Lauren Krings, we really didn't get a chance to talk about her, but a pitcher that comes out of Mizzou, the 3rd Mizzou Tiger on this roster with Alex Honnold and Jenna Laird, and someone who threw over 600 innings this year as a Tiger. She's been a good addition for this New York Rise team.
Yeah, she was a 2024 NFCA Southeast All-Region 3rd team member. She made the SEC tournament team in an SEC tournament that was crazy. 2 14-inning games happening there, and so she was just so durable and so consistent for the Tigers, and, you know, she's trying to do the same thing here for the Rise.
Rachel Becker struck out looking against Mariah Lopez, who went the first 2 2/3, gave up 4 runs on 5 hits, walked 2, and struck out 2. As Krings paints the outside corner 0-1.
I want to see Krings. I want to see all pitchers in this game hit that outside corner because they're getting that strike call today, right? So keep throwing it there until hitters prove that they can hit it.
That pitch is high. Well, Becker, I think, the victim of that outside call last time as well. In fact, you saw a wink from Caroline Wong after getting that strike 3 call as well.
painted that corner for sure.
Hey, it's getaway day.
Yep.
Wave and a miss. 1-2.
But there you go. That's why it becomes so effective. You throw it on the outside part of the plate. You miss a little bit high. Now come right back. That one was a little bit more down the middle, but still more on that outer half of the plate. You get a swing and miss.
Set a pitch upstairs. 2-2.
I think the one thing that is so cool to watch at the professional level is the waist pitches, because they're not like, when you're younger and you're learning what a waist pitch is and you throw it over the catcher's head, they're just so pinpoint control, even with those waist pitches, even on the 0-2 counts, and I just love that. And it makes it so much more difficult as a hitter as well, because when you're younger, you could almost get away with taking 0-2, right? You know that somebody's just going to waste it. Not at this level.
3-2. Looped foul.
It almost looked as if Krings missed her spot there. Caroline Wong set up on the outside part of the plate, and then she comes in on Becker. But I think that could actually work to her advantage, because now Becker saw that one in. She can go back outside again.
Wong does set up outside, but it comes inside on the ground to second. Williams on the backhand, one away.
Sammy Williams is just so solid defensively. I know that she made that one error earlier in the game, but she's been able to play all over the infield for the Rise, and she's just consistent and solid everywhere that she goes.
Well, Sammy Williams, obviously very versatile, as Riley Bayless steps up to the plate, who grounded out to Williams in her last at-bat. Retired on the fielder's choice and gets a fastball blown by her, 0-1.
We talk about the versatility on the softball field, but beyond the field as well, a lot of these women are doing incredible things. Riley Bayless being one of them. She's actually the director of camps for the Oklahoma City Spark. So basically, she sets up and organizes and works with different organizations to bring the young players in the Oklahoma City area to have camps with the Oklahoma City Spark. And I think that's something that is just so awesome, right? Because you're not only a professional softball player, but you're finding ways to grow the game, help young kids, and just with the passion that Riley Bayless has for the game and for growing it, I think it's just super cool.
Both of these teams have really given back to the community as well. On Monday, there will be a New York Rise camp as well. More details on NewYorkRise.com. There's a wave and a miss, and the count 2-2. And so the Rise hosting that clinic before traveling to Chattanooga to play in the Champion Cup Series. Two balls, two strikes, one out, nobody on. The pitch. Wave and a miss. She struck her out. First strikeout for Krings, and there's two down in the fourth.
You can tell a lot about a pitcher from the second that they step into the circle. When Krings came on, watch this pitch again right here. She just has a little bit extra oomph behind it to get Bayless to chase. But as I was saying, when Krings stepped onto the field today, she just had this little bit of swagger within her that you could tell immediately, right? And I think as a hitter, you can sense that. You're like, oh, this woman has her stuff today. And Krings doing that. She's hitting her spot. She has a little bit of zip on that ball. I really like the way that she's thrown so far.
Riley Boone, 2 hits and 2 at-bats. And lines out to Williams, a 1-2-3 inning. Halfway home, 4-1 OKC on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching Varsity Media, New York's high school sports network.
Hey parents, Varsity Media is now offering ISO video of just your athlete. Why settle for the wide angle that shows every player on the field? With our ISO video, your athlete is front and center the entire game. This footage will help in creating highlight videos for college coaches to better pinpoint your athlete's play on the field. Watching our video will help your athlete improve progressively throughout the season and may lead to a college scholarship. Varsity Media is now booking ISO videos for the fall, but spots are limited. Contact us today for football, soccer, field hockey, and volleyball by calling 516-403-2050 or emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
Welcome you back to Bill Edwards Stadium, a 4-1 lead for OKC as Maddie Penta back out on the mound after retiring 8 in a row. Jenna Laird with a double, but then got Alex Honnold to fly out. So 4, 5, 6 due up for the Rise. She's Maria Tribal-Peace. I'm John Perez, and Maddie Penta putting on a clinic the last 2 innings.
I love watching her pitch today. She's just locked in. And, I just got done talking about Krings having that swagger in the circle. After that first inning, Maddie Penta has really settled in. She's getting ahead on hitters and painting the corners, and then she's able to utilize that rise ball. She actually hasn't thrown that off-speed pitch too much, which works really well for her, but she hasn't really needed it because that rise ball and her accuracy with her other pitches to set up that up pitch has been moving really well for her.
A little note that you brought up last inning, too, on Lauren Krings was she was part of one of 2 14-inning games last year. Maddie Penta also involved in that, and I know that you were watching and had friends that were working and watching the game as well, but, how about that? Just a 14-inning marathon, not once but twice in the calendar year.
I just think that SEC tournament was just so exciting, and Maddie Penta throwing 9 innings in one of those 14-inning games, and she's just so good, right? And then she gets back and is throwing more and more, and I think that those are the kind of softball games that you want to see. It was back and forth. Now, unfortunately, Auburn lost to Georgia in one of those 14-inning games, but, I think it just shows how resilient these young women are and how much that the game of softball brings excitement not only to the people playing it, but those watching it as well.
McKenna Smith lays off, and the count is 2-0. McKenna Smith, Sammy Williams, Caroline Wong. Smith responsible for the only run today, a sacrifice fly in the first for the Rise. And the count 2-1 as that glazes the outside corner.
That's a good 2-1 take, though. That one's a little bit outside and up. Unless that's your pitch that you just like to crush all the time, take it until you get to 2 strikes.
Now 3-1. Well, McKenna Smith, 2-time NFCA, 3rd-team All-American, 1st-team All-Pac-12 selection at 22. And Cal Berkeley as the ball goes out of play.
A fun fact about McKenna Smith, she also played soccer at Cal Berkeley. So she became a dual sport athlete. She played in 21 and 23. So not only was she fantastic on the softball field, she was a goalkeeper in soccer as well.
It's a good way to stay in shape, and I think that tracks, right? A catcher and a goalkeeper, you want to be involved in the scoring at least?
Yeah, absolutely. You're not afraid of something flying at you at really great speeds.
Well, that's inside, and the keeper gets out of the way and jogs on to first. Third walk issued by Penta, and that brings up Sammy Williams. Williams popped out to short in her first at-bat. And waves to a first pitch fastball, 0-1. And so Penta comes off and grabs a towel. Not sure if you saw anything or.
No, she just ran off. I think maybe it's a little bit sweaty is what I'm thinking. She's wiping her hands off, especially in these hot temperatures. And not only is it hot today, John, it's humid.
Yep.
And, we talked about Maddie Penta playing at Auburn, so I'm sure that she's used to it. It still doesn't make it easy when you're sweating, you're trying to hold on to a ball, especially when you're trying to spin a ball. You sometimes got to grab a towel, grab some rosin, and just dry it off.
And Williams bunts it foul.
The bat head just angled a little bit towards that first base dugout, which is why Williams fouled that off. And she was also running a little bit. I mean, this is a sacrifice bunt situation. What I would like to see her do is just stand there and get it down instead of trying to bunt for a hit.
0-2. Downstairs, 1-2.
And it's tough because if you have speed like Sammy Williams, you're trying to get the best of both worlds, right? Like, get that bunt down, get on for a hit. But in that sacrifice situation, just trying to make sure that you move your teammate over, which she's in there battling to do right now.
Drives that down the left field line. Hooking. Foul.
That certainly would have moved her teammate over, and it would have moved her around the base paths as well. Sammy Williams getting on top of that Maddie Penta rise ball, and it just really stinks as a hitter when those go foul because you're like, oh, I swung at the pitch that I wanted. I did everything right. I just was a little bit too early.
Well, her and Treeweiler now the victims of just being a little too early. Those fly balls down each line.
It's the biggest gut punch, right? Because you're like, oh, if I would have breathed a little bit and then just squared it up straight away.
2-2. Fell back to the screen.
This is a great at-bat here by Sammy Williams. She was behind in the count. She didn't get that bunt down, but just battling, fighting off Penta's pitches, trying to make Penta make a mistake.
So Penta requesting a new ball, and you could see the perspiration really being a factor. And
I can't even imagine, because I even had to stand up here in the press box where we're underneath shade, not in the heat, underneath the sun, and I'm sweating, right? So I can't imagine trying to pitch in the sun in a humid day. Definitely becomes difficult.
2-2. Hit in the hole, under the glove of the diving Becker, and into left field, a base hit. Smith moves up to second, and Williams is on at first with her first hit of the day. And the rise of something cooking for Caroline Wong.
You know, Rachel Becker was shaded towards that second base bag, so when that ball is hit in the 5-6 hole, she does everything that she can to stay in front of it, but it's just not enough because of where she was originally positioned. And, you know, with the runner on first base, that's something that a lot of shortstops do. They shade a little bit. If there's a steal, if they need to turn two, they want to be closer to that second base bag, but here that positioning comes back to bite the spark a little bit.
So Caroline Wong represents a tying run at the plate. Oklahoma City has Amber Pfizer warming up in the bullpen. And the first pitch high and away. 1-0. And Hansen goes out to the circle. Perhaps to buy some time for Pfizer.
Yeah, it just becomes so hard on these hot days. I know we've been talking about it a little bit within these last couple of innings, just especially for pitchers and catchers, right? Because you are just in the dead of heat and your body is working at the highest capacity. So to kind of put yourself in those situations, it becomes really difficult. You know, you want to stay hydrated. You want to make sure you're taking those breaks. And I think that's really great awareness by Kinsey Hansen, just to go out there and say, okay, Maddie, let's breathe a little bit. Let's try to cool ourselves down.
Smith at second, Williams at first in the pitch. Right on the outer half, 1-1.
That's my favorite thing when there's a conference called and the pitcher does exactly what the point of the conference was, is to come back and throw a strike.
1-1, 2-1.
How about Kinsey Hansen, though, keeping that ball in front? It's just so understated, the work of the catchers behind the plate. That's saving those base runners from advancing, which then you saw when the base runners advanced last inning, and it resulted in a sacrifice fly and a run for the Spark.
2-1. Hit on the ground at third. This could be two. Go to second for one. At third, it's a triple play. Sydney Sherrill to Yvonne Whaley to Alina Torres. 5-4-3, the triple play. Gets Maddie Penta through 4.
There's not many times where you see this happen, and who better to start this triple play than the player of the year from last year, Sydney Sherrill. She does exactly what she's supposed to do, fields it on that bag, over to Whaley. Whaley the awareness, over to Torres at first. Oklahoma City gets themselves out of a jam. Oh my goodness, I love the defense.
Let's go to the fifth on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
It's time to book a Varsity Media Sportscast and get on the big stage. A Varsity Media Sportscast is seen by thousands of people, both live and on demand, from friends and family all over the world to prospective college coaches. Our announcers will help tell the story of your team and your athletes. There is no bigger stage to be on than Varsity Media. Book a sportscast today by contacting Varsity Media.
Hey parents, how about a bobblehead for your athlete? Bobbleheads are one of the most preferred personalized gift items today, and it's so easy to order. All you need is a photo of your athlete, a model number from our extensive collection of bobbleheads, and the sculpting process begins. 2 proofs are sent for your approval, and once it's approved, in a few weeks, your bobblehead is on the way. It's that simple. Order your bobblehead today by logging into varsitymediapass.com and click catalogs or call 516-403-2050.
Welcome back to Bill Edwards Stadium, top of the 5th inning. And what a heartbreaker for New York. Runners on first and second, nobody out in a 5-4-3 triple play. Caroline Wong hit it right on the nose. And just talk about being perfectly placed. Sydney Sherrill didn't even have to move. She just waited on the ground ball.
I could watch this over and over again. It's a defensive clinic. She knows what she has to do. Right over to Whaley at second, and Whaley with the quick release to get Wong at first. Oh my goodness, John. It's not very often that you get to see a triple play, especially one that happens on the ground like that.
Right, I was going to say a traditional play. It wasn't like runners were moving on a full count or anything and a line out. That was... there's nothing you could do if you're New York.
Absolutely not. And, you know, Caroline Wong did what she could trying to get out of the box, but it was just hit so hard right at Sherrill. Sherrill just stepped on the base, and then you also have the great defense of Yvonne Whaley. She has such a quick release over there at second base. Her footwork was fantastic, getting that ball over to Torres at first. And so, you know, if you're New York, it's a bummer, but you also have to give credit where credit is due. Oklahoma City just perfectly executed defensive play.
2-3-4 due up for the Spark. Michelle Moultrie, who reached on an error, came around to score in the 2-run 3rd inning. Moultrie officially 0 for 2 on the day. As Krings hits the outside corner, 1-1.
But even though she's 0 for 2, she's still been on base, right? And why is that? Because of her speed. She just causes so much chaos and puts so much pressure on the defense.
1-1, wave and a miss, 1-2.
How about that tight spin on the rise ball, though, from Krings? She's getting so many of these Oklahoma City hitters to chase that because she just gets underneath it, keeps the spin tight, and starts it at the perfect spot in the zone.
1-2 coming, and slashed foul.
And that's how you have to fight it off if you're Michelle Moultrie, right? Just hitting it the other way, getting on top of it, keeping those hands high.
Well, Moultrie, we lauded her defense, but what she's done on the base paths, too. Big reason for the offensive outpouring for OKC in this series. 5-1 victory in Game 1. Still put up 7 runs in Game 2 despite falling 12-7, and now with a 4-1 lead in the top of the 5th inning. 2-2. Jam shot. Sammy Williams. 1 out.
And that was one thing Crash McCray told us before the game, is that there's no lead that is safe against Oklahoma City because they just have so many hitters who can strike at any moment. He said, look, we went up big and then they put up a 5 spot, right? So there's no room to ever breathe when you're playing the Spark because they just do such a good job of always being in the game, even when they're down by a lot of runs.
And that's something that Amber Flores said is a blessing and a curse a little bit for her team, is sometimes they get a little too stagnant and they're waiting for that 3-run home run. And if it doesn't come, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, she said we want to put runners on base today, right? We want to utilize maybe that small ball, just making good contact, because when you are waiting for that long ball, I mean, they have the people that can do it. This woman at the plate right now showed us how much she can hit that long ball out of here. But, you know, you want to try to find different ways to manufacture runs because that just makes you more potent.
And they've had 6 base runners so far, left 3 of them on base. Now the pitch, just a little high, 2-1. To Kinsey Hansen, who had a 2-run home run in the first inning, flew out to right in her last at-bat. Hansen from Norco, California. 2 for 3 with a triple and 2 runs scored in Tuesday night's loss. Just misses, 3-1.
I'm giving her the green light here. 3-1, 1 out. Nobody on base. She can add a run with just a single swing of the bat.
Well, takes up and in, ball 4. Now the 18th walk issued by New York pitching. That's 18 walks in now 19 innings as Elena Torres steps up to the plate. First pitch hacking and loops it foul. 0-1.
I like the aggressiveness there from Torres because even though Kenzie Hansen just walked, Krings has been very efficient by hitting her spots and just getting ahead on hitters. So Torres looking to be aggressive, trying to put another run on the board for the Spark.
0-1. And that's popped foul again.
A lot of pop outs, a lot of foul balls because of the spin of Krings' rise ball.
Torres a sac fly and another fly out, so both of her flyouts have been to right field, one of them resulting in an RBI. That made it 4-1 in the third. Just missed inside. 1-2.
That's a great spot, too, because you mentioned her going to the right side, and you even saw her take an aggressive hack at that first outside pitch against Krings. So now you have her 0-2. Come to that inside part of the plate and try to jam her.
Just stays alive on another pitch that was outside.
Krings took a little bit more off that one, but again, just trying to work both sides of the plate. I'd look to come in one more time against Torres because she's really shown that she can hit the ball the other way, and she likes that outside pitch.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out, the pitch. And that's socked into left field, a base hit, and rolls all the way to the wall. Kenzie Hansen rounds third. Treeweiler flips it in. There will be no cutoff throw. It's an RBI double for Elena Torres. 5-1 Spark.
And this is why Oklahoma City is so good offensively. We were just talking about how Elena Torres can hit that outside pitch and how she was aggressive against that outside pitch. Look where Krings throws that on the inside part of the plate, and Torres does exactly what you're supposed to do on that. Get your hands nice and tight and pull it to left field. And now she has an RBI for her team, adds another run for the Spark, and that's why they're so good, because they can hit pitches on both sides of the plate.
So here's Yvonne Whaley, an RBI double her last time up, 1 for 2 on the day. It's an OKC team that can just continue piling up.
Yvonne Whaley in the 5-hole is so effective, too, because we talked about how good she is in the clutch. When there's runners in scoring position, she finds ways to get them in, and that's why you put her in that 5-hole, because there's usually a lot more opportunity for that 5-hitter to knock in some runs.
Foul back to the screen, and you're right, and she's been as good as advertised in this series. 6 hits and 15 at-bats. She's driven in 5. Another runner in scoring position. Flips it. Foul.
And you see her try to go the other way a lot of the times. Her last hit, again, fell right in front of Ashley Treeweiler over in left. She does a really good job of going with that pitch to left field.
Krings ahead in the count, 1-2. Popped up, foul territory. Smith, long way to run, makes the basket catch. What a play by McKenna Smith, the natural catcher, showing off the wheels and making a nice play in foul ground.
I think the fact that she is a catcher helps her with this play, because you are going backwards a lot of the times, and she just does a really good job of sprinting to the spot, right? She never slows down. She goes until she gets there and sticks her glove out at the last second, and that's why she's able to have that range.
Looks like a wide receiver as Chloe Malaulu steps up to the plate. High and away, 1-0.
And that's one of the hardest plays to make, too, just going over your shoulder like that, because it's hard to see the ball when your head is angled in that position. So that just makes it even more impressive that McKenna Smith's able to get out there and hold on to that catch.
Carve foul. 1-1.
My favorite part is when those foul balls go up and then everybody makes a mad break for it. I remember when I was a young kid just getting foul balls at either my sister's games or different things like that. It was a dogfight, I have to tell you. Who could get that ball first?
Well, and with the post-game autograph sessions, now you've got not just a game ball, but you get the signatures as well.
Oh, I know. There's just so many benefits, too, right?
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs, already a run home. The pitch. Line caught. Jenna Laird, inning over. An RBI double by Alina Torres gives OKC a 5-1 lead going to the bottom of the 5th on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
When it comes to live streaming, Varsity Media does it all. Athletic events, concerts, musicals, graduations, even weddings. Trust Varsity Media when it comes to your live stream event. Contact us today to learn more about Varsity Media's live streaming services at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is over 50,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck. Welcome you back to Bill Edwards Stadium. It's a 5-1 lead for OKC. And hey teams, let Varsity Media help bring your games to life with our SPORTSCAST. From multiple camera angles, play-by-play coverage, instant replay graphics, and more. Varsity Media is ready to broadcast your sport. Our YouTube channel has over 33,000 subscribers, over 6 million views of our content. That's a lot of eyeballs to help you get noticed. Contact us today to learn more at varsitymedia.net or any social media channel at Varsity Media. She's Maria Tribal Peace. I'm John Perez. Home half of the 5th inning and a 5-1 lead for Maddie Penta, who was saved by a 5-4-3 triple play last inning. And you know what? Sometimes in the middle of a game, you need some breaks and some luck, and she got it.
I think it makes it easier to be a pitcher, right, when you know that you have the defense behind you to back you up. So you get some base runners on, and then Sydney Sherrill says, let me help you out. I got you. Triple play gives you confidence then to go out there next inning and want to do well for your defense because they just helped you out.
And it was really interesting to see it all unfold because New York had her on the ropes. Amber Pfizer was warming up. And you'd have to imagine for Flores that she was thinking maybe 1 or 2 more batters for Penta before bringing in Pfizer, but the triple play erases that, and we'll see how much longer they go with Penta. And then obviously we have not seen Donnie Goulburn yet. She is starting to stir in the bullpen as well, the closer for the Spark. As it'll be 7, 8, 9 due up for New York. Nicole Mendez, Lindy Malkin, and Riley Blampede. And the first pitch to Mendez is outside, 1-0. Mendez a pop out to second base in her only at-bat. Shows bunt, and foul tips it, and the count 1-1.
Nicole Mendez, another one of those hitters who has the ability to swing away, bunt, run through the box. She just does a little bit of everything, and that's why she was so successful at Oklahoma as well. She did a really good job of controlling their outfield, has that speed too, so I really like her leading off the inning because she has the capability to be one of those hitters who gets on, runs, and moves.
Yeah, Mendez, of course, leading the Sooners to the College World Series in 2017 and 2021. Those are championships. They were also there in 2019. Missed the 4 straight titles right now, and can't think of any team that's had a better run of dominance, at least in recent history, than Oklahoma.
Well, they're the only team in NCAA Division I softball to win the national championship 4 years in a row. That's a lot of national championships consecutively. And, you know, a lot of these players on Oklahoma City, Riley Boone being one of them, was part of all 4 of those championship teams, which is something that is just so impressive.
Well, Nicole Mendez, part of that Sooner culture, and after the conference between Hansen and Penta, gets ready with a 3-1 count. Pitch, low, ball 4.
And the Rise need base runners, right? So by any means necessary. Nicole Mendez going up there. She showed bunt one time, but then ultimately worked a walk, and that's a really great at-bat by her.
Now batting for the third prize, number 22, Linny Malkin.
So that brings up Linny Malkin. She also popped out to the second baseman, Yvonne Whaley, in her only at-bat, 0 for 1. And takes a strike right down the middle, 0-1. Bunts it and rolls it foul, 0-2.
Again, that barrel just aiming a little bit too much towards that first base dugout, causing, this is the second Rise batter now, to foul that off.
Well, Hansen sets up outside, doesn't get the call. Good waste pitch, 1-2.
Yeah, it's a little bit too far outside to be called a strike, but that's exactly where you want to throw that when you're ahead 0-2. You don't want anything even close to the plate that Malkin could get a hold of.
Malkin pops it up and over us.
I thought you were going to catch that one.
I know, I was sitting, you know what, I was sitting down. I haven't been standing up, so I wasn't in.
You always have to be ready. I don't know.
I know. I'll do better next time, I promise.
All right, I'm holding you to that.
Comes a 1-2. Downstairs, 2-2.
Ooh, that's a good take by Linny Malkin. I don't know if I would have had the discipline to take that one. Just misses a little bit low.
Malkin's got some pop, but New York needs base runners.
Yeah, you're trying to pass the bat here in this situation.
2-2 pitch. One popped up, right side, foul territory. Let's see if it reaches the seat. It does.
No effort on that one. I needed to see some more people getting underneath that ball, right?
It's hard to run up the steps and then also make the catch.
I don't like excuses.
I'm just saying, someone could get hurt that way. I know.
All right. I don't want anyone getting hurt, but I mean, it would have looked really cool if they would have caught it.
Yes, the style points are always.
Yeah, I mean, you got to sacrifice safety to be cool. I'm totally kidding.
I was with you. 2 in there, strike 3 called.
This is a beauty of a pitch by Maddie Penta. She was working on that outside part of the plate, throwing hard. She takes a little bit off this pitch right here, just freezes Malkin up for that strike 3 call.
It's only the second strikeout by Penta. And here's Riley Blampede. Blampede, fisted, just foul.
Ooh. Okay, that one.
There's your effort.
There was effort there. That one scared me a little bit, though. I don't want anyone getting hurt, for sure.
Pitch inside. And the count 2-1.
That's a good pitch call, though, coming inside on Blampede because Penta jammed her on that one that she fouled off. Tries to move it a little bit more inside to see if she could get Blampede to do the same thing she did on the previous pitch, but that one too far inside for it to be called a strike.
Within the confines of the stadium throughout the game and not in the roadways. Thank you so much.
And so now we see, once again, the perspiration issues as well. You know, you'll have some pitchers that prefer the slickness and can get away from the barrels, but Penta not being that that type of pitcher.
Well, you see her missing a little bit on that outside part of the plate, up and away, right? I think she's trying to throw that rise ball, maybe even with a little bit of a curve, and when she's coming across her body, she's just holding on to it too long because of that slickness, right? So she doesn't want to release it too soon because it's wet in her hand, so she's holding on to it too long. She's not as effective with that pitch as when she has a dry ball.
One looped foul down the right field line, and Malaulu gives it a look into the Rise bullpen.
Too many trees. We can't even see into that bullpen. I guess
You're
trees
right,
are a good thing, though, right? They're good for the environment, from what I hear.
Well, you were the environmental major at Fordham, so.
No, I wasn't. I was a journalism major and a psychology major.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So you knew how to ask.
Yeah, I
Is it
knew how
good
to
for the
ask the questions about
environment?
if
Yes.
it was good for the environment. What did you major in college?
Also journalism.
Oh, my goodness, twins.
There we go.
I guess that would track considering what we're doing right now.
Correct, yeah. Although you had a much better program than I did, but that's a conversation for another day. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. 5-1 the lead for OKC. Bottom half of the 5th. The pitch to Blampede. Line drive caught by Becker. It could be a double play, but a low throw, and Mendez gets back safely.
It was good contact by Blampede, but it was just hit right at Becker. And Nicole Mendez taking a good lead over there at first, but still able to get back. We saw Amber Pfizer warming up. It looks like the Spark are going to make that change now.
And so Penta goes out there, and her day is done, and a new pitcher is Amber Pfizer. So we'll take a quick break. Pfizer coming on to try and get the final out of the 5th on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is over 50,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck.
It's time to book a Varsity Media Sportscast and get on the big stage. A Varsity Media Sportscast is seen by thousands of people, both live and on demand, from friends and family all over the world to prospective college coaches. Our announcers will help tell the story of your team and your athletes. There is no bigger stage to be on than Varsity Media. Book a sportscast today by contacting Varsity Media.
Hey parents, how about a bobblehead for your athlete? Bobbleheads are one of the most preferred personalized gift items today, and it's so easy to order. All you need is a photo of your athlete, a model number from our extensive collection of bobbleheads, and the sculpting process begins. 2 proofs are sent for your approval, and once it's approved, in a few weeks, your bobblehead is on the way. It's that simple. Order your bobblehead today by logging into varsitymediapass.com and click catalogs, or call 516-403-2050.
When it comes to live streaming, Varsity Media does it all. Athletic events, concerts, musicals, graduation.
And we welcome you back. Bottom of the 5th inning. 5-1 the lead for OKC as Ashley Treeweiler steps up to the plate against Amber Pfizer, who throws in a first pitch strike, 0-1.
You know, Pfizer struggled a little bit on Tuesday against the Rise, but overall this season she has been fantastic. You know, we talked to Amber Flores before the game, and she said it's just something that's uncharacteristic, but it's going to happen, especially when you're playing at a high level.
Hits it on the ground to second. Whaley's up with it and fires to first, and the inning is over. Vintage Amber Pfizer coming in and putting out the fire. 5 innings in the books. 5-1 the lead for OKC on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Doc Ginn, and you're watching the New York Rise.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is over 50,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck.
It's time to book a Varsity Media Sportscast and get on the big stage. A Varsity Media Sportscast is seen by thousands of people, both live and on demand, from friends and family all over the world to prospective college coaches. Our announcers will help tell the story of your team and your athletes. There is no bigger stage to be on than Varsity Media. Book a sportscast today by contacting Varsity Media.
Back here at Bill Edwards Stadium, a 5-1 lead for OKC as Lauren Krings goes back out to the circle. And Krings has been pretty efficient so far out of the bullpen. She's allowed the one run in the 5th inning, but command has not been an issue for her so far. And just trying to keep this a 5-1 game as we enter the last 2 innings of play. Maria Tribalpiece.
You know, she's done what she's been brought in to do. As you said, she gave up the one run, but she's throwing strikes. She's being efficient with all of her pitches, and she's just hitting all of her spots. And I think that's all that the Rise can really ask for because, you know, we've talked about the command issues from pitchers on both sides, and that's one thing that Lauren Krings hasn't done as of yet. She's keeping her team in this game. And the offense, you know, they've had their chances. A triple play by the Spark to end that first and second nobody out instance. And so I think that if Krings can keep doing what she's doing, she gives her offense a chance to come back into this game.
Now batting for the Spark, number 24, Sydney Sherrill.
Sydney Sherrill will lead things off for OKC. 7-8-9 due up for the Spark. As last game, it was the bottom of the order doing most of the damage for OKC. So far today, they're 0 for 6 as Sherrill drives the first pitch over the head of Riley Blampede and almost out of here. High off the wall, digging into second. She slides in ahead of the tag. Well, just what I was saying, the struggles for the bottom third of the order. An extra base hit for Sydney Sherrill puts a runner in scoring position.
Sydney Sherrill was the player of the year last year for a reason because she can hit pitches wherever they are placed. This one on the inside part of the plate gets her hands high, drives it in that right center field gap. We saw her on Tuesday hit a home run over the left field wall, so she really does a good job of just crushing the ball with power to each and every gap.
And so that brings up Rachel Becker. And the count 0-1.
And another cool thing about Sydney Sherrill is she's also a coach, right? She's an assistant at Grand Canyon. She has coached Ashley Treeweiler, and she's also a big reason why Ashley Treeweiler ended up with the Rise. When we talked to Coach Crash McRae before this, he said Sherrill really advocated for Ashley, and you know Treeweiler was one of the last additions to the New York Rise roster, and so I think it's really cool. We talked about the softball world being such a small and tight-knit community with everybody helping each other and knowing each other. Sydney Sherrill getting Ashley Treeweiler a chance in the pro league, and man, has she capitalized on it.
Yeah, certainly in the conversation for MVP of the league. Looping fast, and there is Treeweiler to make the catch. I'd have to imagine, too, the other night at third base when Treeweiler's hitting 2 home runs and collecting 4 hits, that Cheryl's saying, hey, why don't I advocate for her to come over here?
Right. You're like, maybe I should have gotten her to Oklahoma City. But nevertheless, I'm sure Cheryl, a very proud coach of her player, just doing big things here in the Pro League.
Riley Bayless takes off the plate, 1-0.
And there's a lot of coaches sprinkled throughout not only the Rise and the Oklahoma City Spark, but the other teams in the league as well. And I think that's something that just helps the coaches of these teams. You know, when we talked to Amber Flores before the game, she said one thing that is so interesting is the coachability.
Well, that's lined into center. Bayless has a hit. Sydney Sherrill, come on down. An RBI single for Riley Bayless makes it 6-1 in the 6th.
Riley Bayless has had some good at-bats. I know she didn't get a hit last time up, but she was patient enough and waited for her pitch, right? This one on the inside part of the plate keeps her hands nice and tight, and it drops in there for not only a single, but an RBI as well.
Well, Well, after going hitless in their first 6 at-bats combined, they've got 2 hits and 3 at-bats, the bottom third of the order. And now flipped up top to Riley Boone, looking for her 3rd hit of the day.
And how great is it when your bottom of the order can turn it over like that, right? You know, that's the sign of a good team, when your 7, 8, and 9 can come in and not only get runners on base, but produce a run.
Looped into center, down for a base hit. Riley Boone is 3 for 4.
Again, the speed and effectiveness of Riley Boone coming into play again, because she can run so well, because she can bunt and slap. That infield's going to be pulled in, and you'll watch it right here. Jenna Laird has to be in for the anticipation of the slap that causes this ball to just drop right in no woman's land. Riley Boone on with another base hit.
And so Tony Marie Valerio comes on to try and settle down Krings, and some stirring in the Rise bullpen. As Amber Flores goes back to the home plate umpire. Looks like we'll have a pinch runner at second base for Bayless, and it is Alex Storako. We had heard rumblings that Storako might be available to pinch run or hit today, if that is the case, and now we're seeing her at second base.
And it's funny because when you think of Alex Storako, you think of her being a pitcher and a pitcher only, right? A PO, as we call it in softball. And so I think that her showing that she can do different things, especially at the pro level, makes her more versatile and gives her the opportunity to get in more games.
And so the first pitch to Michelle Moultrie misses outside, 1-0.
And if you're the Rise infield right now, you have to be thinking on a ground ball hit to the left side, you have to go to third base, right? Michelle Moultrie is so quick. Trying to get her at first is a very difficult thing to do. When you have runners at first and second, try to get that lead runner.
Krings is hoping that she could roll a triple play in her own right.
I don't think Michelle Moultrie's hitting into a triple play anytime soon.
If it happens, you're buying everybody dinner tonight.
I will buy anyone dinner if Michelle Moultrie ever hits into a triple play. I mean, I think I'm safe right now because there's already one out, so no triple play happening this inning at least, but.
Boy, nothing gets past you. That's slap foul.
It's that Fordham education, let me tell you.
That's right. Moultrie reached on an error in the third inning and flew out in the first to pop out in the fifth. And then goes the other way. It's going to hang up for Treeweiler, hauls it in, and swiftly gets it back into the infield. 2 outs.
I love when pitchers throw left-handed slappers inside because what's a slapper trying to do, right? Hit that ball to the left side. Now they're trained, and somebody like Michelle Moultrie takes that inside pitch and still hits it the opposite way, but I think that's one of the most effective ways to get a left-handed slapper is throw them on that inside part of the plate because it's the complete opposite of what they're trying to do.
So here's Kinsey Hansen. Takes on the inner half for a strike, 0-1. Hansen, a 2-run home run in the first inning, and then walked and came around to score in the fifth. 1 for 2 on the day. Skipped in the dirt. Wong throws down to second. Williams, the throw to Smith in time. Heads up play by Caroline Smith, a 2-4-5 putout to get Alex Storako on the base paths.
You know, they've been throwing at Storako knowing that she doesn't run the bases quite as much, so Storako tries to take advantage of it, but the quick throw gets her out.
Bottom of the sixth coming up on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching Varsity Media, New York's high school sports network.
Hey parents, Varsity Media is now offering ISO video of just your athlete. Why settle for the wide angle that shows every player on the field? With our ISO video, your athlete is front and center the entire game. This footage will help in creating highlight videos for college coaches to better pinpoint your athlete's play on the field. Watching our video will help your athlete improve progressively throughout the season and may lead to a college scholarship. Varsity Media is now booking ISO videos for the fall, but spots are limited. Contact us today for football, soccer, field hockey, and volleyball by calling 516-403-2050 or emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
Bottom of the 6th inning, 6-1 OKC. Here at Bill Edwards Stadium, she's Maria Travelpiece. I'm John Perez. Amber Pfizer came on in relief and got Ashley Truewiler with a ground out. She'll deal to Jenna Laird, Alex Honnold, and McKenna Smith. With a 5-run cushion, and Maria, we know how much of a pro Amber Pfizer is. I'm sure she was chomping at the bit to get back out in the circle after a rough performance Tuesday night.
Well, she's just a competitor, right? You know, as soon as you have a performance like that, that's exactly what you want to do. You want to just get back on the horse and prove to yourself, not even prove to yourself because she knows that she can do it, but just kind of redeem yourself a little bit. And she does such a good job of throwing in those upper 60s, low 70s. She has a rise, curve, drop, and a change, so she utilizes all those pitches. Just a complete competitor.
Jenna Laird a double and a walk in 2 at-bats against Maddie Penta. Went 4 2/3. Just allowed 1 run on 2 hits, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts.
And, you know, we talk about Amber Pfizer being a competitor. She's also a black belt. And I think that was something that was so interesting. I was reading different interviews with her and articles about it, and she was just talking about how it makes her more athletic when she's pitching and just more flexible. And I think that that is something that is so cool because we talk about people being two-sport athletes. We talked about McKenna Smith. And to have a black belt, I think that would definitely help you on the softball field.
I don't know why she doesn't wear the black belt.
I mean, that'd be
Show it
super
off.
cool, yeah. I mean, if I had a black belt, I would certainly show it off.
Maybe the headband too.
Yeah, and it's in Taekwondo also.
Right.
So, like, super, like, athletic, flexible, quick movements. I mean, maybe that's, I mean, I'm sure that's probably why her pitches move so well.
Yes.
100%.
Much needed strike, 2-1 to Jenna Laird. Laird a fighter in her own right, although not sure if she's been trained in any of the martial arts. And the count even at 2-2.
And I feel like the really cool thing, too, is just the mental aspect of that, too, just mental resiliency and just competitiveness. And I think that's why I'm always a big proponent of athletes playing multiple sports and different disciplines as well.
Lined up the middle, and Becker tracks it down for the first out.
It's a great first step by Becker, just dropping over her left shoulder. I mean, that's why she's playing shortstop. She's so quick and she's so fast to react to some of those balls. See, Laird gets fisted a little bit. Good job by Becker.
There's Alex Honnold, 0 for 1 with a sac bunt. It's a charge in the first pitch, and fouls it off, 0-1.
Pfizer's throwing these lefties up and in with that rise ball, and she throws so hard that sometimes they are hitting it to that left side. You even saw Jenna Laird. The reason that she hit just that weak pop-up over shortstop is because it was fast, right, in on her hands.
0-1. You're out to left. Tracking back. Boone makes the play at the warning track, 2 away. Nice play by Riley Boone. Ranging back on it, and ball kept carrying. She was able to haul it in.
Well, this is what makes Riley Boone such a fantastic outfielder, is the fact that even though the ball kept carrying and she made a little bit of a misstep, she stays with it, right? She's so quick and, again, doesn't stick that glove up until the very last second. That allows her to get as far as she possibly can and create more reach to come down with that ball.
McKenna Smith takes high for ball 1. Smith, a 2-run home run and a couple of walks against Amber Pfizer. The last time that they met on Tuesday night.
That home run was a beauty, too.
Yeah, Rice hit 3 home runs in that game. Of course, the 2 by Ashley Treeweiler and Smith in there, and there's a wave and a miss. 1 and 2.
You see that changeup coming into play there. She just takes a little bit off of that. McKenna Smith, whole front shoulder comes off the ball, and she's way ahead of it.
1-2. Check swing. She goes around, and Hansen applies the tag. Inning over. A 1-2-3 inning for Amber Pfizer. Let's go to the 7th on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
It's time to book a Varsity Media Sportscast and get on the big stage. A Varsity Media Sportscast is seen by thousands of people, both live and on demand, from friends and family all over the world to prospective college coaches. Our announcers will help tell the story of your team and your athletes. There is no bigger stage to be on than Varsity Media. Book a sportscast today by contacting Varsity Media.
Hey parents, how about a bobblehead for your athlete? Bobbleheads are one of the most preferred personalized gift items today, and it's so easy to order. All you need is a photo of your athlete, a model number from our extensive collection of bobbleheads, and the sculpting process begins. 2 proofs are sent for your approval, and once it's approved, in a few weeks, your bobblehead is on the way. It's that simple. Order your bobblehead today by logging into varsitymediapass.com and click catalogs, or call 516-403-2050.
Top of the 7th inning, OKC with a 5-run lead over New York 6-1. Alongside Maria Trival-Peasum, John Perez, and Oklahoma City showing why they are one of the best teams in the league as well. Came in on an 8-game winning streak, extended it to 9 with a Monday night victory, and now a 5-run cushion in what they hope is their last time batting today, as they'll send up the meat of the order: Kinsey Hansen, Alina Torres, and Yvonne Whaley against Lauren Krings, the second pitcher and only pitcher out of the pen for the Rise today.
And you know, the Spark, they have great pitching. They have really great hitters as well. But the big thing that stands out to me about this team is their resiliency and their way that they fight back. We even saw it in that loss, them putting up, we talked about it multiple times, but them putting up that 5 spot of runs, right? So even when they are down, even when they lose a game, they just come right back and start throwing punches again. And I think that's a big reason why they were able to win 9 games in a row in a league where there's some of the best players in the country stepping onto the field.
Yeah, they've only had 2 losses this year, and they were both to the Rise.
On the Instagram, New York Rise softball. Now batting Kinsey Hansen.
And so Hansen with a 2-run home run in the first. A fly out and a walk. 1 for 2 on the day. She's contributed to 3 of the 6 runs.
We talked about this a little bit on Tuesday, but another really impressive thing about Kinsey Hansen, not just the way that she plays softball, but the way that she's so dedicated to the sport. So she actually was here on Monday, right? Flew to Chicago, taught a clinic, then flew back and started and played on Tuesday. So I just think her dedication to growing the game, to teaching young girls the game, and then also showing up and being a pro's pro and playing the game is outstanding.
Yeah, finished with a couple of hits, one of them being a triple.
Yeah, we were talking about how she was the DP in that game, and we said if she got off the plane and started catching, we'd be even more impressed. If we weren't already super impressed.
Well, she's called a good game behind the plate. Of course, it helps that Penta and Pfizer continue to dial in the zone. 2-1 pitch. 3-1.
Calls a good game and then is super disciplined at the plate. Just really doing it all for the Spark.
3-1 pitch. Jammed on the ground to short. Tough hop for Laird. And Hansen reaches the board.
Yeah, there's just nothing that you can really do about that ball. Hansen hits it with a lot of zip behind it, and it looks like it maybe hit something in the dirt because Laird was perfectly positioned for it and just hopped on her at the last second. You'll watch it again. Just hit hard on the ground by Hansen right at Laird, but sometimes you just can't avoid those bad hops.
So Hansen reaches for the third time today as Torres skies the first pitch to center. Honnold coming on, makes the catch. One away.
That's one of those where you're like, I just missed it. Got a good barrel on it, but just a little bit underneath it. So instead of going over the fence, it's right at center field.
So Yvonne Whaley's the batter. 1 for 3 on the day with an RBI double. Attacks the first pitch, serves it out to left. Treeweiler's there, 2 down. Both batters first pitch hacking after the infield single by Kinsey Hansen. And here's Chloe Malaulu, who's hit the ball hard 2 times today. Singled in the second and then lined out to short in the 5th. Skips in the dirt. A wild pitch will allow Hansen to go to second. Looking ahead for New York in the bottom of the 7th, they'll have 5, 6, 7 due up in the order. Sammy Williams, Caroline Wong, and Nicole Mendez. And job number 1 for Krings is just to keep it a 6-1 game and give her hitters a chance.
And it's tough because New York has had some of those chances. I mean, it's not very often you see a triple play to end an inning, and then they're getting the base runners on, they're just not able to convert.
Pitch grooved in there for a strike, 2-1. Well, New York today, 2 hits, 2 runners left on base. It just misses 3-1.
It's tough, too, because that's right on the upper part of the plate. It's a half-inch lower. That's a strike call.
3-1, wave and a miss. 3-2.
I like the green light there, though. 3-1 count, runner on second, 2 outs. You're trying to hit that somewhere in the gaps, and you have to assume you're going to get the pitch to hit on a 3-1 count.
Popped up left side, Laird, easier play, hauls it in, and the inning is over. New York will look to rally in the bottom of the 7th on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
When it comes to live streaming, Varsity Media does it all. Athletic events, concerts, musicals, graduations, even weddings. Trust Varsity Media when it comes to your live stream event. Contact us today to learn more about Varsity Media's live streaming services at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is over 50,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck. Bottom of the 7th inning, a 6-1 lead for OKC. And it looks like we will have a new pitcher for Oklahoma City, and that's what the wait time was for, as Donnie Goburn will come on. Trying to get the final 3 outs for Oklahoma City. Interesting, with a 5-run lead, they go to their closer, but Goburn hasn't pitched in quite some time. In fact, last pitch against New York on July 6th, struck out 2 of the 3 batters that she faced. 1-0 on the year, 1.35 ERA, and I think for Amber Flores, well, they've got the dinner reservations tonight, but also just want to get Goburn back on track or get her some innings and get out of this with a series victory.
Yeah, you want to keep people fresh, right? So you have the lead right here. Amber Pfizer did what she was supposed to do, got the job done, and now Goburn to come in and try to close this thing out and just get those reps in that she needs, especially as they'll head into that final tournament of this professional league. And, you know, Goburn is a really fun pitcher to watch. She's going to throw the ball hard, hit around that 70, 71 miles per hour. She also throws a fastball inside, and she has a fantastic changeup, ranging anywhere between that 55 and 56 miles per hour. So you see that rise ball that's super fast, you see the fastball that's super fast, and then she can pull that pin on it and just make hitters look foolish.
Selected 17th overall in the women's professional fast pitch draft in 2023 by the Spark and became the first South Carolina Gamecock drafted professionally since 2013. She was named an All-SEC first team in her senior year and threw a no-hitter against number 17 Auburn on April 29th, 2023. Sammy Williams to lead things off. The number 5 hitter, 1 for 2 on the day. And Goburn, you can already see the velocity and hear it. As the first pitch pops inside, 1-0.
It's kind of like when Courtney Weish comes in for the rise and you just see the heat emanating off that ball.
Williams on the ground, up the middle, long throw for Becker, not in time.
And it's interesting because you saw Becker shifted almost directly behind second base. You see a lot of people do this and utilize this shift when you have somebody who throws as hard as Danny Goburn. Look at where this ball is hit. It's almost right up the middle. Becker tries to make a play on it, but just not in time because Sammy Williams gets down that line.
Here's Caroline Wong, who hit it down the line as well. In fact, right on top of the third base bag for a 5-4-3 triple play. And she's 1 for 2 on the day.
The Spark has that shift on once again. Sydney Sherrill playing pretty much where the shortstop normally plays. Rachel Becker almost directly behind second base. And you can see why. Where did Caroline Wong hit that ball? Almost into the first base dugout because of the speed of Danny Goburn and also because she throws that ball on the inside part of the plate.
At the knees for a strike, 0-2.
I also think just putting that shift on messes with the hitter's head a little bit, and as a batter, you have to just really focus on doing what you normally do when you're up at the plate.
That's inside and causes Hansen to spin like a helicopter. Try and catch that one. That's what happens when you throw so hard and you set up on the outer half of the plate.
She sets up on the outer half. Goburn misses a little bit on the inside half. Kinsey Hansen's just so quick, though, behind the dish that she's able to get to that ball. A lot of catchers probably wouldn't even catch that.
1-2. Poked foul. Goburn, the pitcher of the year last year, led the team with 104 strikeouts.
And that's why you bring her in to close, right? Because she throws harder than anyone else. So you have your pitchers that throw hard with some spin, but you just keep getting faster and faster and then close with Goburn.
1-2. Out the middle, let's see if they can turn 2. Whaley to second for 1. Becker the turn, not in time. It'll be a fielder's choice as Wong reaches aboard.
Caroline Wong said, look, I already hit into the triple play. I'm not hitting into a double play right after that.
So that'll bring up Nicole Mendez. And it looks like we'll get a pinch runner at first base as well.
Yeah, you're trying to crawl your way back in this 7th inning. So just using all the stops. Sydney McCray is going to run for Caroline Wong over at first base. She's super quick. You got to try to figure out a way to chip back at this 6-1 deficit.
And so that'll bring up Nicole Mendez. Pop out in a walk in 2 plate appearances. And the first pitch darts outside, 1-0.
We talked a lot about that Oklahoma Sooners connection you saw as Sydney McCray was coming in to run for Caroline Wong, Nicole Mendez, and Kinsey Hansen just chatting it up a little bit. It's probably so cool for them to just, be on opposing teams at this point after having that deep connection while at Oklahoma. And I think it's just something that's so cool to see, just 2 teammates getting to see each other again and play against each other.
Oh, 100%. And so many people try and recapture their college years. Well, at least it's an extension of that at the pro level. Slammed foul. Coburn named the NFCA All-Region second team in 2023, All-SEC first teamer that year. And the count even at 2-2.
Cole Mendez is right on Goburn's fast stuff, though. I would love to see Goburn utilize that changeup here because Mendez is one player that is definitely not fooled or overpowered by the heat.
2-2 pitch. Just missed outside, and the count's full.
That's a really good disciplined take by Nicole Mendez because that is outside, but it was right on the corner, and especially with the way that this ball is coming in, how much speed it has, it makes it a little bit more difficult to take that.
3-2. Fisted foul.
Here's another thing about Danny Goburn, too, is just at the speed in which she works, right? She's right back on that mound every single time. Little time in between pitches. Well, now we're here switching the balls out because, again, we talked about that heat and humidity, but she just gets right back on that mound, takes the signal, and is ready to rock and roll.
Payoff pitch. Outside, ball 4. So that'll allow McCray to go to second. Mendez over at first. And Lenny Malkin, a power threat, stepping up to the plate.
Here's the thing, though, for both base runners, Sydney McCray and Nicole Mendez. The Rise are down 6-1. You don't want to make any outs on the base paths. You're trying to be a little bit more cautious until that tying run comes to the plate. The tying run can be more aggressive in trying to score, but when you are down by 5, you have to be smart when you're base running.
Well, Malkin, like we mentioned, one of 3 Rise players to be competing in the Home Run Derby next week. One swing of the bat can make this a 6-4 game. First pitch, wave and a miss. 0-1.
There's that fastball on the inside part of the plate from Danny Goburn. When she throws that in those high 60s, lower 70s, even if it doesn't have any movement, it's still very tough to hit.
1-1.
And how about the athleticism from Kinsey Hansen, too, behind the plate, just catching those pitches, especially the ones that Goburn has missed. She's really kept that ball in front.
Yeah, it's the big part of the catcher, and now just trying to get a gauge of her pitcher as well. Hasn't pitched yet this series. It's been at least 4 days for Goburn. And so I'm sure just trying to shake off any rust that she has, and now just trying to get the final 2 outs and capture the series victory. 1-1. Inside, 2-1.
You see Goburn struggling a little bit to find the strike zone. If you're the Rise hitters, take note of that, right? You're down by 5. You need base runners more than anything. Wait for her to bring you a pitch that you can hit.
Well, she waits again. 3-1.
I would even think about taking a strike in this instance because, again, just said it, but you need base runners. Try to make Goburn throw some more pitches.
3-1. Taking 3-2.
Now you just battle. 3-2. Find a way to get on base.
Three-two pitch. Chopped right back to the mound. Goburn's up with it. Her only play is to first and gets the out. 2 away. And New York is down to its final out.
Malkin chopped that hard enough on the ground that it hung in the air so long that Goburn didn't have any play but to go to first with it. She took a quick peek at second, but that was a smart play by her to get at least 1 out. You're up by 5. Just get the force.
Well, and how big was that run in the top of the 6th inning? Because you've got Ashley Treeweiler representing the tying run on deck as Riley Blampede takes high for ball 1. Blampede 0 for 2 on the day, popped out to second and lined out to short against both Maddie Penta and Amber Pfizer. Penta in line for her 2nd win of the year. The pitch, down and in.
Great job by Kinsey Hansen. Look at the way that she just gets out of that crouch, too, to move laterally. I mean, she is just so much fun to watch. And, you know, if you've watched the Women's College World Series, if you've watched college softball the last few years, you know the defensive ability of Kinsey Hansen.
Ends line to right, a base hit for Blampede as McCray comes in to score. And so does Mendez as she beats the relay throw. It's a 2 RBI single for Riley Blampede, and the Rise aren't done yet.
If you want to be able to score 2 runs on a single, you have to hit it to right field with second and third, and Riley Blampede does just that. But how about the great base running from the Rise? Nicole Mendez got such a great jump off of second base, does her part in scoring that second run, well, third run overall for the Rise.
And so that brings up Ashley Treeweiler, who takes on the outside corner 0-1. Misspoke before. Jenna Laird represents the tying run if Treeweiler can get on base. This one served in the air out to left. Going back is Boone. The ballpark will hold it, and Boone makes the catch, and the ball game is over. Oklahoma City wins the series with a 6-3 final in Game 3 as Donnie Goburn gets the final 3 outs. Maddie Penza started the game off, went 4 2/3, and she picks up her 3rd victory of the year as Oklahoma City scored 2 runs in the 1st and 3rd inning and then tacked on in the 5th and 6th, and just a clinical performance by OKC today.
OKC is so methodical in the way that they produce runs. They never try to overpower things, right? They got base runners on, got the big hits when they needed it, and they saw good things from each of the pitchers that they threw out there today. So they proved why they are one of the best teams in this league, why they had that 9-game winning streak in the first place, and really rebounded from that loss on Tuesday.
So for New York, their next game and next broadcast will be tomorrow night. Coverage starting at 6:45 p.m. against the Chattanooga Steam. And then OKC back in action, a doubleheader against Florida on July 20th. So that'll do it for our entire crew, led by Kevin Catalanato and Mike Verdi. For my partner Maria Tribalpiece, this is John Perez saying so long from Bill Edwards Field. It's been a presentation of AFP Softball on the Varsity Media Sports Network.